Chapter 564. The mountain was surrounded by 480,000 zhang tall tree devils. One of them had a tree crown on his head, another was clad in rattan armor, one had wooden wings and the last one had 1,000 wooden arms. The moment Ning Fan appeared on the mountain, the four giants roared angrily and waved their fists at the mountain. The four giants were all at the absolute void stage. When the four of them attacked together, the mountain immediately collapsed. The ground within hundreds of thousands of li collapsed by 3 zhang. Ning Fan, who was dressed in white, slowly emerged from the dust. He was actually unharmed by the four giants' attacks. "Are you the subordinates of the Vine Sovereign?" Ning Fan's tone was extremely indifferent. The four giants did not even look at Ning Fan. They just looked at each other and smiled disdainfully. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. A mere Void Inquiry Stage Junior dares to offend the Vine Sovereign? He's really courting death. This young man is Liu Bei. Kill him. There's no need to hold back. The four of them used their own techniques. The giant with the tree crown shook its crown and countless leaves fell from the sky. Hundreds of millions of leaves instantly condensed into a massive wooden dragon and rushed at Ning Fan, shattering the vast sky. The rattan armored giant held a pair of giant hammers while the wooden winged giant held a pair of halberds. Both of them were massive immemorial divine weapons. As for the giant who had 1,000 arms, he performed a hand seal. All of a sudden, countless gigantic wooden hands emerged from the ground and slapped at Ning Fan. The four of them did not show any mercy. Once they locked onto Ning Fan, they immediately launched a fatal attack. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He did not know how the subordinates of the Vine Sovereign found his hiding place. However, no matter what, he would not let anyone bully him without retaliating. He opened his mouth and breathed out black flames. In just an instant, the black flames turned into a sea of fire and turned into 9 enormous black dragons. 3 of them were the wooden dragons that burned the sky, while the other 6 were the wooden arms that burned the earth. The black flames were extremely powerful. In just an instant, they burned the wooden dragons and wooden arms to ashes and destroyed the attacks of the giant with the tree crown and the 1,000 arms giant. The tree crown and the 1,000 arms giant were shocked. They did not expect that a mere Void Inquiry Stage ant like Ning Fan would actually possess such powerful black flames that could block the attacks of 2 absolute Void Stage experts. What level of flame is this? It can actually burn our peak mortal void magic techniques. After spitting out the black flames, Ning Fan suddenly raised his right arm without turning his head back and stared coldly at the attacks from the rattan armor and the wood-winged giant's divine weapons. Layers of brilliance appeared on his right arm, and a silver armor appeared. A white tiger's shadow appeared on his arm, and the tiger's roar was like thunder. This was a mysterious god's spiritual equipment that Yu Chong had gifted to him. Even though Ning Fan had already refined it a long time ago, today was his first time using it in actual combat. The white tiger was in charge of killing. This god mystic arm armor came with a mortal void body technique. The more the wielder killed, the higher the baleful aura, and the more powerful the spiritual equipment would be. The baleful chi in Ning Fan's eyes was as red as blood. All the killings he had accumulated in his life were condensed in his right arm. He took half a step back, then suddenly rushed forward, turning into a stream of light that soared into the sky, facing the giant hammer and halberd with his fist. Void technique, White Tiger. As soon as the punch was thrown, it immediately emitted a raging wave of fist light. The fist light condensed into the shadow of a white tiger fist. When the fist shadow collided with the 2 immemorial divine weapons, it shook violently and gave off a loud bang. In the loud bang, Ning Fan was sent flying 100 li away by the rebounding force. As for the rattan armor, the wood-winged giant's giant hammer and halberd, they were all smashed into pieces by the force of Ning Fan's punch. Ning Fan's cultivation base was at the mid-reckless devil realm, and he was not far away from the late reckless devil realm. His physical body could easily defeat anyone at the 3rd level of the golden body refining realm. After equipping the white tiger armor, even absolute void stage cultivators would not dare to take a punch from him casually. The immemorial divine weapons of the 2 giants were just 1-star divine weapons. How could they withstand Ning Fan's white tiger armor? Both of the giants' divine weapons were destroyed. They were also sent flying 100 li away by the rebounding force. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. It's the mysterious god armor. This young man's physical body is extremely strong. After equipping the mysterious god armor, he can fight against absolute void stage cultivators with his physical body alone. As soon as Ning Fan appeared, the four of them launched their attacks together. However, the joint attack of 4 absolute void stage cultivators could not hurt Ning Fan at all. This really shocked the four of them. They immediately dispelled their underestimation of Ning Fan and realized that he was a ruthless character. Even though this young man's cultivation base is just at the void inquiry stage, his abilities are shocking. His combat power is comparable to an absolute void stage cultivator's. He must not be underestimated. Form the 4-directional tree annihilation formation. Once we form this formation, even a grand void stage cultivator will certainly die in our hands. Ning Fan's eyes narrowed slightly. The 4 absolute void giants in front of him were definitely not weak. If he does not use his trump cards, it would be very difficult for him to win. With just a sweep of his spirit sense, he could already distinguish the strengths of the 4 of them. Among the 4 giants, Qian Shou was the strongest while Shu Guan was the weakest. Both of them were experts in magic attacks. As for the Woodwing giant and the Rattan armored giant, their strength was ranked in the middle. Both of them were experts in body techniques. Even though he used the Yin-Yang flame and the mysterious god armor to block the attacks of the 4 giants, he still did not gain any advantage. The 4 of them had already realized how strong he was. Their next attacks would certainly be even fiercer. They had already begun to form a grand formation to besiege him. Ning Fan knew that he must end the battle as soon as possible. Only by breaking the formation of the 4 of them could he counterattack. I'll kill one of them first. Without any hesitation, Ning Fan's body swayed and he turned into his incarnation in black robes. His 5 fingers clawed at the ground and then at the hollow space. He extracted the Great Earth Soul and the Void Soul one after another and swallowed them. Ning Fan's spirit sense had already reached the absolute void stage. After transforming into his sense soul incarnation, his cultivation base had already reached the absolute void stage. After extracting the Great Earth Soul and the Void Soul, his cultivation base continued to skyrocket. It was already infinitely close to the grand void stage. His black hair danced wildly in the air. His eyes were as cold as ice that would never melt for 10,000 years. He raised one of his hands and a 10,000 zhang large fire steel suddenly appeared above his palm. This fire steel was not an illusion. Instead, it was a magic treasure that truly existed. It was the treasure that had existed in the profound Yin world since ancient times, the steel of sun and moon. The 4 giants were still forming the formation. When they saw Ning Fan suddenly transforming into his incarnation and extracting the void soul, all of them were dumbfounded. Incarnation technique? Soul extraction technique? These 2 techniques are the 3 void fragmentation realm divine abilities. How can a mere void inquiry stage expert use them? What kind of incarnation is this? It can actually allow a void inquiry stage expert to possess absolute void stage magic power. Extracting the void soul. This is the 2nd level of the soul extraction technique. Only the 3 tree sovereigns in the entire tree world know how to use it. Why does this young man know how to use it? What kind of magic treasure is this fire steel? It actually gave me such a strong sense of crisis. There was no answer. Why did he need to answer? Killing intent flashed across Ning Fan's eyes. He suddenly pushed out his palm and summoned the 10,000 zhang fire steel. The fire steel disappeared in an instant. At the next moment, it appeared 10,000 zhang above the tree crown giant's head. It turned into a 10,000 zhang tall flaming steel that was half white and half white. Then, it suddenly smashed down on the tree crown giant's head. The power of this fire steel was obviously equivalent to a first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm attack. Ning Fan's attack was too fast. It was so fast that the other 3 giants could not save the tree crown giant at all. When the three of them sensed the terrifying power of the steel's attack, their expressions changed drastically. They quickly reminded the tree-crowned giant. "Retreat quickly. You can't fight this steel head-on." The tree-crowned giant was an absolute void stage expert after all. His eyesight was not weak. He naturally knew that the power of this steel was terrifying and it was not something he could withstand. He opened his mouth and spat out an emerald green pearl at the fire steel. At the same time, he flew backward, trying to avoid the sharpness of the steel's attack. That emerald green pearl was extremely extraordinary. It was the natal magic treasure that the tree-crowned giant had refined for many years. Once it attacks, it would produce the sound of mountains and rivers. When the pearl collided with the fire steel, it was instantly turned into ashes by the fire steel. That fire steel did not lose its momentum. It continued to smash toward the tree-crowned giant's head. The tree-crowned giant's eyes were filled with astonishment. He suddenly shook his body and used a teleportation technique to teleport himself to a faraway place. That fire steel also disappeared in an instant. When the tree-crowned giant appeared in the distance, the fire steel also appeared in the distance. It was still hovering above the tree-crowned giant's head and was smashing down. "I can't avoid it." At this moment, the tree-crowned giant was a little frightened. If this fire steel was only powerful, he would not be afraid. Even if he could not withstand it, he could still dodge it. However, at this moment, he suddenly realized that this fire steel had the ability to track its target. Once it locks onto its target, the enemy would not be able to escape from its attack no matter where they run to. Boom! The fire steel suddenly smashed onto the tree-crowned giant's head. The steel contained a wisp of yin-yang energy. Although it was only a wisp of yin-yang energy, it seemed to be heavier than the sky of the tree world. The tree-crowned giant's head was instantly shattered. A wisp of his primordial spirit escaped from his dantian in a panic. Under the huge steel, the 80,000 feet tall tree-crowned giant's physical body was crushed under the huge steel and turned into a pile of meat paste. The entire ground shook violently. In the distance, the three giants, including Vine Armor, Mu-E, and Thousand Arms, were all shocked. At the critical moment, the tree-crowned giant's primordial spirit escaped from his physical body and avoided certain death. His tiny primordial spirit escaped to the other three giants. He was barely breathing. Although he managed to escape, he did not feel happy at all. His eyes were only filled with fear. That fire steel was too terrifying. It destroyed his physical body with a single attack, causing his teeth to tremble uncontrollably. If his primordial spirit was a little slower, even his primordial spirit would have died under the fire steel and turned into a pile of meat paste. This young man's magic treasure is powerful. Take the treasure destruction formation plate that the Vine Sovereign gave us and set up the treasure destruction grand formation to stop him from using his magic treasure. The Thousand Arms giant reminded. Upon hearing his words, Vine Armor and Mu each took out a formation plate and activated it. The surrounding 100,000 li was immediately covered by layers of faint green formation light. It was the treasure destruction formation light. It was a low-grade immortal void realm magic treasure. Even ordinary void fragmentation realm magic treasures would not be able to be activated in the formation light. This was the trump card that the Vine Sovereign gave to the four of them. It was the perfect counter to those cultivators who possessed heaven-defying magic treasures. Ning Fan bent his palm and the fire steel disappeared from afar. It returned to its original size of 10,000 zhang and landed on his palm. He was still holding the sky with one hand. His chi was a little chaotic. The attack of the steel of sun and moon was indeed extraordinary. It destroyed the physical body of the tree-crowned giant with just a single attack. He knew that it was his first time using the one-spirit steel of sun and moon. He was not familiar with the technique yet, and he had yet to display the true abilities of the steel. Otherwise, it was impossible for the tree-crowned giant's primordial spirit to escape. His primordial spirit would certainly be destroyed by the steel. Moreover, the amount of magic power that the steel of sun and moon consumed was not small. Just a single attack had consumed nearly 10 million units of magic power. After Ning Fan transformed his incarnation and extracted the Void Soul, his magic power was only around 30 million units. In other words, Ning Fan could only use the steel of sun and moon 3 times at most in his current state. We have already activated the treasure destruction formation. Your fire steel magic treasure can no longer be used. The vine armored giant sneered. You destroyed my physical body. When I capture you, I will certainly grind your bones into ashes and dismember your body into a million pieces. The primordial spirit of the tree-crowned giant snorted coldly. Ning Fan held the steel with one hand and stood in the middle of the formation light. He could feel waves of suppressive force from the formation light. That suppressive force was trying to suppress the power of the steel of sun and moon and prevent it from being used. Ning Fan's eyes flashed. He did not expect that the 4 giants would actually have such a powerful treasure destruction formation disc. Initially, he thought that the steel of sun and moon could no longer be used in the formation light. However, his eyes suddenly widened. Ning Fan could feel that the power of the steel of sun and moon in his palm was not suppressed by the formation light at all. Thoughts raced in his mind. In just a moment, he understood the vastness of the situation. Currently, the steel of sun and moon had just completed its first yin spirit and yang spirit. It was just equivalent to a void fragmentation realm magic treasure which could unleash a void fragmentation realm attack. However, the true grade of this treasure was definitely not just a void fragmentation realm magic treasure. It was an immortal emperor magic treasure. It was the magic treasure that great Emperor Ancient Chaos once used in the past. How strong was it? How could it be suppressed by the treasure destruction grand formation? The treasure destruction grand formation could destroy void fragmentation realm magic treasures, but it could not destroy immortal emperor magic treasures even if they had yet to unleash their full power. Ning Fan took a step forward and abruptly took out the steel of sun and moon. Both of his hands moved rapidly with the shadows of his fingers, forming hand seals. He had yet to display the true ability of the one spirit steel of sun and moon just now. Now he was going to use it. The steel of sun and moon flashed and disappeared. In another flash, it had already appeared above the vine-armored giant. It grew to 100,000 zhang in size and was about to smash the top of the giant's head. Seeing the steel of sun and moon coming at them, the vine-armored giant and the others showed a disapproving expression. From their point of view, the immortal void-grade treasure destruction grand formation had already been activated. No magic treasures could be used inside the formation, and this steel of sun and moon was no exception. The power of this treasure has already been suppressed. Yet, this young man still wants to use this treasure to attack. How foolish! Fine. I will take this treasure away now and offer it to Lord Vine Sovereign. This treasure is quite mysterious. I'm sure Lord Vine Sovereign will like it very much. You guys don't have to help me. I alone am enough to take this fire steel away. The vine-armored giant took a huge step forward and faced the steel of sun and moon head-on. At the same time, he raised his hand to stop the few people behind him who were eager to help him. He signaled them not to take action. He alone was enough. He was fully confident that he could take away the steel of sun and moon without anyone's help. His surname was also Teng, and he was a member of the Vine Sovereign's clan. Even though his cultivation base was not the highest among the 4 of them, his words carried a lot of weight. When the others saw his reaction, they quickly dismissed the idea of helping the vine-armored giant. From their point of view, with the vine-armored giant's absolute void stage cultivation base, taking away a fire steel which had lost all of its power was really a piece of cake. Taking away the steel of sun and moon was a meritorious deed. However, if the vine-armored giant wanted to take all the credit for himself, the others naturally would not dare to snatch it away. Ning Fan glanced at the direction of the vine-armored giant. His killing intent had already been triggered. The shadows of his fingers danced in the air as he performed a mysterious hand seal. The steel of sun and moon that was moving rapidly in the sky immediately gave off a strange halo. It was as dazzling as the sun and as hazy as the moonlight. As the sun and the moon shone, a wave of yin and yang power blended together, producing the sound of the great Tao. All of a sudden, a vast aura force spread out from the steel of sun and moon. The light of the treasure-destroying formation within 100,000 li suddenly trembled and shattered. The vine-armored giant's eyes turned cold. Only then did he realize that the power of the steel of sun and moon was not sealed by the grand formation at all. This grand formation actually could not seal the steel of sun and moon. Instead, the light of the formation was destroyed by the aura force of the magic treasure. Impossible! The treasure-destroying grand formation can even seal a low-grade immortal void realm magic treasure. What grade of magic treasure is this fire steel? It can actually ignore the seal and shatter the light of the treasure-destroying formation. The vine-armored giant was greatly shocked. However, he also knew how powerful the steel of sun and moon was. Even the tree-crowned giant's physical body was destroyed by a single steel. Naturally, he would not end up well either. Now that the steel of sun and moon was not sealed, he naturally did not dare to face it alone. He opened his mouth and spat out a small shield of green light, trying to block the attack of the steel of sun and moon. Immediately after that, he retreated in an attempt to avoid the attack of the steel of sun and moon. I was too careless. He gritted his teeth. If he knew that the steel of sun and moon was not sealed, he would certainly not be so arrogant as to face it alone. At this moment, Ning Fan suddenly felt that everything had stopped. At this moment, Ning Fan's eyes were as bright as the sun and moon. First spirit steel technique, sun sinking and moon falling. As soon as Ning Fan uttered those words, the steel of sun and moon immediately let out a loud rumbling sound. It was as if the stars had changed their trajectories and the great Tao had changed, causing the mountains and rivers within the radius of 100,000 li to tremble. Each shadow of the steel of sun and moon was divided into 10 and 10 into 100. Half of the shadows of the 100 Tao steel turned into a falling sun while the other half turned into a falling moon. 50 gigantic burning suns and 50 gigantic cold moons crashed towards the vine-armored giant at the same time. A sense of impending death rose in the heart of the vine-armored giant. After the attack of the steel of sun and moon was divided into the shadows of the sun and moon, its destructive power was already infinitely close to that of a second heavenly layer void fragmentation realm attack. Not good. I can't avoid it. The vine-armored giant cried out in shock. At the next moment, his voice was drowned by the deafening sound of the falling sun and moon. Rumble! 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 The sun and moon fell and heaven and earth turned upside down. Even though the attack was aimed at the vine-armored giant, the other three experts were also affected. The smoke and dust gradually dispersed, revealing the ruins of 100,000 li. The area of 100,000 li was flattened by the steel of sun and moon. As for the vine-armored giant who was arrogant earlier, he had already been smashed into meat paste by the steel of sun and moon. Both Qian Shou and Mu Yi were affected by the attack. Each of them suffered some light injuries. After witnessing the terrifying destructive power of the steel of sun and moon, each of them was filled with fear. As for the primordial spirit of the giant with the tree crown, it was already on the verge of death. Now that it was affected by the attack of the steel of sun and moon, it also perished in the aftermath of the attack. A single attack had killed two absolute void stage experts. Qian Shou and Mu Yi's eyes were filled with deep fear when they looked at Ning Fan. This treasure is too powerful. It's hard for us to resist it. Only Guiyuan Taishu can take down Liu Bei. We must run. The two of us must run. The two of them flashed and got out of the giant's body. Then, they turned into two rays of green light and fled into the distance recklessly. They were frightened by the attack of the steel of sun and moon. Ning Fan's black robes fluttered in the wind. His eyes flashed with a hint of mockery. Don't you think it's a little too late to run now? He suddenly patted his storage pouch and took out the ancient golden sword. Then he scattered some immortal jades to activate it. With a wave of his hand, he kept the tree crown and the vine-armored giant's storage pouch. Then, he stepped on the ancient sword and carried the giant's steel, chasing after them all the way. Neither of them should even think about escaping. Chapter 565. When Qian Shou and Mu Yi saw Ning Fan chasing after them, they exchanged glances with each other and gritted their teeth. Then they ran in different directions. They knew that they were not Ning Fan's match. If he catches up to them, they would certainly die. At this moment, the two of them could only bet on their luck to see who Ning Fan would chase after. Whoever he chases would die. The one who dies could only be said to have bad luck. Running in different directions, huh? Ning Fan opened his sword pouch. 5 rays of sword light immediately flew out of the pouch and turned into 5 agile little sword spirits. Their opponents were absolute void stage cultivators. If they run in different directions, Ning Fan could only chase after one of them at most. He could not care less about the other one. You guys go after the winged one. I will go after the 8-armed one. He gave an indifferent order and immediately stepped on his ancient golden sword, chasing after Qian Shou. The 5 sword spirits pouted their lips. They were unwilling to be Ning Fan's hired thugs. However, the 5 of them had the life and death restriction on their bodies. They could not disobey Ning Fan's order at all. They snorted a few times in dissatisfaction and obediently turned into 5 rays of sword light, chasing after Mu. Even though Mu Yi was not a sword cultivator, the strength of the 5 little girls was already very heaven-defying. Each of them was comparable to an absolute void stage cultivator. It would not be difficult for the 5 of them to chase after an absolute void stage cultivator. Qian Shou had already left his giant Dharma image and turned into an 8-armed old man. After separating from Mu Yi, he fled desperately. Sensing that the golden sword light was getting closer to him, Qian Shou was almost scared to death. Why? Why is this malefic star chasing after me instead of Mu Yi? On the other side, Mu Yi also left his giant Dharma image and turned into an old man with wings. When he noticed that Ning Fan was chasing after Qian Shou, he immediately heaved a sigh of relief, thinking that he had escaped death. He did not expect that there would be 5 rays of sword light chasing after him instead of Ning Fan. When he turned around and saw the 5 rays of sword light, his expression immediately turned pale with fright. These are sword spirits. Sword spirits of immortal swords. Each of them is comparable to an absolute void stage cultivator. I'm actually being chased by 5 absolute void stage cultivators. Mu Yi was extremely shocked. He was affected by the attack of the steel of sun and moon and suffered serious injuries. If he fights the 5 absolute void sword spirits alone, he would certainly die. The 5 sword spirits were extremely fast. In just over 10 breaths, they had caught up to Mu. Mu Yi gritted his teeth and stroked the thumb ring magic treasure between his fingers. It was a damaged small Kiliacosm Cosmos treasure that he had bought at an auction for 5 billion immortal jade. This minor Kiliacosm treasure was a damaged item. It could still be used once more to open a minor Kiliacosm. Once it was opened, the wooden wing would hide in the small Kiliacosm. The boundary treasure would be destroyed, and the exit would be closed forever. The wooden wing would never be able to leave this small Kiliacosm. At this moment, Wood Wing only had 2 choices. First, he fought with the 5 great void sword spirits and was killed by them. The second was to open a broken minor Kiliacosm and hide in it. Although they would never be able to leave, they would be able to avoid this calamity. Feeling the unstoppable momentum of the 5 sword spirits, Mu Yi gritted his teeth and steeled his heart to open the small Kiliacosm broken. Even if I'm trapped in this broken world for the rest of my life, it's still better than being killed by these 5 sword spirits. As long as I enter the small Kiliacosm, even void fragmentation realm cultivators won't be able to come in and kill me easily. A ray of light was emitted from the ring. Mu Yi shook his body and went into the broken world, vanishing on the spot. He ran away. Where did he go? The 3rd sword spirit, Shui, revealed a surprised expression. He hid in the space of the magic treasure. It's just a small Kiliacosm. It's so weak. The 2nd sword spirit, Emomo's big eyes flashed with golden light. She seemed to have seen through the small Kiliacosm and saw Mu Yi who was hiding inside. Wah, open the sword door. Let's kill our way in and let him know how powerful our sisters are. The 1st sword spirit, Jing Jing ordered. Tong Tong, I'll set up the formation. You open the door. As soon as the fourth sword spirit, Hua Hua, finished speaking, she performed a hand seal and a huge sword diagram and sword formation appeared in the sky. Alright. The fifth sword spirit, Tong Tong, nodded her head and stood on the sword diagram. With a shake of her body turned into an earthy yellow light door. Let's go in. The other four sword spirits entered the light door and directly appeared in the small kiliacosm, almost scaring Mu Yi to death. Mu Yi did not expect that the five sword spirits who were chasing after him were actually so powerful that they could directly enter the small kiliacosm of others. Even void fragmentation realm experts might not necessarily be able to do such a thing. A moment later, a miserable shriek reverberated in the small kiliacosm for a long time. It was Mu Yi's voice. On the other side, Ning Fan stepped on a golden sword light and caught up to Qian Shou in just 10 breaths' time. Qian Shou's face was filled with panic. He knew that it was difficult for him to escape anymore. Thus, he stopped moving and no longer tried to escape. He took a deep breath and turned his head to look at Ning Fan. Ning Fan also stopped moving and looked at Qian Shou calmly. If you don't kill me, I'm willing to give you my entire life's fortune. Qian Shou untied the storage pouch on his waist and begged for mercy. If you die, all your belongings will naturally be mine. Ning Fan said mercilessly. Don't force me. If you force me again, I will risk my life and perish together with you. Liu Bei, don't go too far. Qian Shou's expression turned ferocious. Ning Fan, however, did not say anything else. He directly raised his hand and took out the steel of sun and moon, striking it at Qian Shou. First spirit steel technique, sun sinking moon falling. The shadow of the steel split into 10 and then into 100. In an instant, it turned into 50 gigantic suns and cold moons that fell from the sky like a meteor shower. Qian Shou looked at the countless suns and moons falling from above his head. He knew that he would not be able to escape death. He stared at Ning Fan with resentment. His eyes gradually turned crazy. You forced me to do this. Qian Shou's 8 arms performed hand seals at the same time. His body gave off monstrous wood elemental magic power. His aura force became stronger and stronger, rising all the way from the Great Void Realm to the returning origin Great Void Realm. However, his body became drier and drier. His flesh and blood were disappearing at a rapid speed. It was extremely strange. He was using his life to cast the last magic technique. He wanted to perish together with Ning Fan with this magic technique. The dark green leaves in front of him flew in all directions and gradually condensed into a gigantic wooden statue of 1,000 hands Arhat. Each of the 1,000 arms of the 1,000 hands Arhat was holding a 1-star immemorial divine weapon. He chanted the name of Buddha. His body shone with golden light and countless Sanskrit chants echoed in the surroundings. As the 1,000 hands Arhat art changed, the 1,000 hands Arhat immediately threw out 1,000 immemorial divine weapons towards the steel of sun and moon. 1,000 hands Arhat art. Qian Shou revealed a frenzied expression. This was his strongest technique. Once he uses this technique, he would certainly die. However, the destructive power of this technique was comparable to a void fragmentation realm attack. Even the returning origin Great Void Realm would certainly be injured if not killed by this attack. Rumble. 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 100 gigantic suns and moons collided with 1,000 immemorial divine weapons. Destructive energy waves swept across the area. The surrounding area of several 100,000 li was filled with a sea of towering ancient trees. As the energy waves spread out, all the ancient trees turned into ashes and disappeared. Countless rifts appeared on the ground and lava flowed everywhere. The space in the sky shattered, revealing the dark and gloomy hollow space below. The shadows of the divine weapons shattered one after another while the gigantic suns and moons exploded. Ning Fan quietly stared at the collision of magic treasures. Gradually, all of the opponent's immemorial divine weapons were destroyed. However, there were still a few dozens of suns and moons that were created by the steel of sun and moon. All of them continued to fly towards Qian Shou, who was on the verge of death. This time, Ning Fan was the winner of the collision of magic treasures. Qian Shou raised his head reluctantly and stared at the gigantic suns and moons that were falling towards his head. He did not use any magic power to escape. He had already used his strongest secret technique. He would certainly die. His biggest regret was that he did not drag Ning Fan to death with him. What he regretted the most was why he chased after Ning Fan and got himself killed. Liu Bei. It's too early for you to be pleased with yourself. The four of us are not the only ones who are chasing after you in the Northern Tree Ocean. There are 9 other experts. Among them, 3 of them are Void Fragmentation Realm experts, while the other 6 are Primordial Great Void Stage experts. If you run into their hands, you will certainly die. Rumble. Qian Shou's fearful roar was drowned by the attacks of the suns and moons. He could no longer hear it clearly. The magic energy waves gradually dispersed. Their surroundings were filled with ruins and desolate hills that were tens of thousands of meters tall. Ning Fan raised his hand and kept the steel of sun and moon into his profound Yin world. Then he took away Qian Shou's broken storage pouch from the ruins and accurately located his half-dead primordial spirit. Then he performed a soul-searching technique on it. After that, he swallowed his broken primordial spirit into his stomach. His eyes were filled with baleful qi that could not be erased. His body was also emitting intense baleful qi. Since he had killed 3 great void stage cultivators in a row, the sins he had committed were naturally extremely heavy. As for the 4th great void stage cultivator, he probably wouldn't be able to survive either. It wouldn't take long for the 5 little sword spirits to return. He stepped on the ancient sword and returned along the path he came from. His eyes briefly scanned the storage pouches of the 3 great void stage cultivators, and his eyes revealed a look of realization. It was no wonder that the Vine Sovereign's subordinates could still find me even though I was hiding in such a secluded mountain. From Qian Shou's memory, he learned that each of the great void stage cultivators who came after him this time had a copper mirror magic treasure. The grade of this magic treasure was not high, but it had a special function. Among the subordinates of the Vine Sovereign in the Western Tree Ocean, those who had a certain status would be rewarded with a vine seed by the Vine Sovereign. Once this vine seed is planted in one's body, it would be very difficult to erase it. The Vine Sovereign could always know the location of her subordinates. If a cultivator with a vine seed is killed, the vine seed in his body would be transferred to the killer's body. From then on, the Vine Sovereign and her subordinates would be able to find out his whereabouts easily. Ning Fan looked inside his body and carefully searched through his body. After searching for a while, he really found dozens of vine seeds in his body. This was the reason why his whereabouts were discovered. The so-called vine seeds were the magic power seeds that the Vine Sovereign condensed. They were extremely tiny. The dozens of vine seeds combined were not even as big as a speck of dust. These vine seeds are so tiny. Even if I don't pay attention to them, it would be hard for me to notice the existence of vine seeds in my body. If I want to kill the Vine Sovereign in the future, I will have to get rid of the vine seeds in my body. Ning Fan activated his black flames and burned away all the vine seeds. In this way, it would be difficult for the Vine Sovereign's subordinates to find his whereabouts. In the distance, 5 sword spirits were carrying a heavy storage pouch and slowly flying towards Ning Fan. Even though they had completed the task that Ning Fan gave them, they were still a little unwilling to be ordered around by him. Each of them raised their small faces angrily as if being Ning Fan's sword spirits was a very depressing thing. Humph! That detestable little Fan. Sisters, you have already completed your task gloriously. Can you take a rest now? Ning Fan could not help but laugh when he heard their words. In the past, when Lu Yu took in these sword spirits, he was called Little Foolish by them. Now that it was his turn, he became Little Fan. So be it. Ning Fan was too lazy to argue with these 5 little girls over such a trivial matter. He took away Mu Yi's storage pouch and kept the 5 sword spirits into his sword pouch. Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out the jade slip that contained the map of the Northern Tree Sea. After scanning it with his spirit sense, he fell into silence. After a while, he kept the jade slip and stepped on the ancient golden sword, flying towards the southeast. He did not want to stay in the northern tree sea for a long time. It was better for him to go to the eastern tree sea to search for the tree god fruits and the materials to repair his spiritual puppets. Now that he had destroyed all the vine seeds in his body, it would be difficult for the vine sovereign's subordinates to find him in this vast world. Especially after he entered the eastern tree sea, which was the bamboo sovereign's territory. The vine sovereign's subordinates would not be able to reach him. So what if it's the vine sovereign? Ning Fan's eyes were calm. Even though he was not a match for the vine sovereign, his current strength was more than enough to protect himself even if he were to run amok in the tree world. In the northern tree sea, 9 old monsters were flying towards Ning Fan's direction in a ray of traveling light. Among these 9 old monsters, there were demon cultivators, devil cultivators, and of course, there were also humans. Each of them was holding a copper mirror magic treasure. Among the 9 of them, there were 3 Void Fragmentation Realm experts and 6 Guiyuan Taishu Realm experts. Wherever the traveling light passed by, the cultivator cities of the northern tree sea kept quiet out of fear. At a certain moment, the 9 of them suddenly looked shocked. They stopped their traveling light and landed on the peak of a tree mountain. That Liu Bei's trail has disappeared. Could it be that he discovered the vine seeds in his body and destroyed them all? A Guiyuan Taishu realm expert who was dressed in purple robes said with a cold and stern gaze. Without the vine seeds, we can't track his whereabouts. The vine sovereign ordered us to hunt him down. Now that we have lost his whereabouts, how are we going to hunt him down? If the vine sovereign finds out that we have failed in our task, she will certainly be furious. Another Guiyuan Taishu realm expert who was dressed in black robes said worriedly. This is bad. The life tablets of Vine Armor, Qianshou, and the other 2 Taishu realm experts have all been destroyed. A Guiyuan Taishu realm expert who was dressed like a Taoist priest suddenly patted his storage pouch and took out 4 broken life tablets. As soon as they heard what he said, the other 5 Guiyuan Taishu realm experts were shocked. Even the 3 first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm old men were shocked. The 4 Taishu realm old monsters who were chasing after Ning Fan were all dead. Even though the 4 of them were not Guiyuan Taishu realm experts, they could even kill a Guiyuan Taishu realm expert if they joined forces. The 4 of them had suddenly died. If there were no accidents, they were certainly killed by Ning Fan. Ning Fan was just a void inquiry stage cultivator, but he was actually able to kill 4 Taishu realm experts. This was really unimaginable. We have somewhat underestimated this young man. Since he could kill 4 Taishu realm experts on his own, he is definitely not a nobody in the tree world. Liu Bei. This name is too unfamiliar. What exactly is his background? A void fragmentation realm female cultivator who was dressed in pink robes and had long hair that reached her waist fell into deep thought. No matter what his background is, he will certainly die for offending the Vine Sovereign. Now we have lost his whereabouts. However, if we observe carefully, we will realize that he was flying towards the southeast. The reason why he bought the map of the Northern Tree Sea in the vast cold city was probably because he wanted to leave the Northern Tree Sea. Judging from the direction, he is going to the Eastern Tree Sea. We must speed up our pace. We cannot let him enter the Eastern Tree Sea. That place is the Bamboo Sovereign's territory. Once he escapes to the Eastern Tree Sea, it will be difficult for us to kill him. A void fragmentation realm cultivator who looked like a big-headed child said with a gloomy expression. With just a few words of analysis, he had already deduced that Ning Fan wanted to escape to the Eastern Tree Sea. The Eastern Tree Sea. The 4 great tree seas are separated by the realm-breaking light. No one can pass through the realm-breaking light and enter the other tree seas. The only way to enter the other tree seas is through the realm gates between the trees. There are a total of 6 realm gates between the Northern Tree Sea and the Eastern Tree Sea. If this young man wants to enter the Eastern Tree Sea, he will certainly pass through one of the 6 realm gates. Even though we have lost Liu Bei's whereabouts, we just need to split into 6 groups and increase our speed. Then, we can hide outside the 6 realm gates in advance and wait for him. When the time comes, We can still kill this young man in one go. The one who spoke was the one with the highest cultivation base among the 3 void fragmentation realm cultivators. He was a tree demon whose entire body was covered with leaves. Every time he breathed, countless trees around him would wither. Naturally, no one had any objections to his suggestion of splitting into 6 groups to chase after Ning Fan. After coming to a decision, the 3 void fragmentation realm cultivators accelerated their speed to the maximum and flew towards the 3 realm gates that were located at the border of the Eastern Tree Sea and the Northern Tree Sea. The other 6 void fragmentation realm cultivators split into 3 groups of 2 and headed towards the other 3 realm gates. All of them sacrificed their cultivation base and used secret techniques to increase their speed to the maximum. Each of them was close to the void fragmentation realm. Previously, when they peeked into the copper mirror, they found out that Ning Fan's speed was extremely fast and it was infinitely close to the void fragmentation realm. They were not void fragmentation realm cultivators. Thus, they naturally had to pay a certain price in order to catch up to Ning Fan. From their point of view, Ning Fan's combat power was probably close to that of a void fragmentation realm cultivator since he was able to kill 4 void fragmentation realm cultivators on his own. Even though this young man is strong, he will definitely die if he faces 2 void fragmentation realm cultivators or 1 void fragmentation realm cultivator alone. As long as they split into 6 groups and hide outside the 6 realm gates before Ning Fan, they would certainly be able to wait for him to walk into their trap. 1 month later, Ning Fan withdrew his traveling light and landed in Gomang country in the North Tree Sea. The Gomang Kingdom was a void-rank cultivation country located at the border between the Eastern Forest Sea and the Northern Forest Sea. Past the Gomang Kingdom was the 3rd realm gate to the Eastern Forest Sea. The Gomang Kingdom was filled with Fusang trees. The ruler of this kingdom was the Fusang tree tribe. The king was a Fusang tree demon with great virtual realm cultivation. The realm gate that led to the Eastern Forest Sea opened once every 3 years. It had only been a year since it had last opened, so it would take another 2 years for the realm gate to open again. At that moment, there were many cultivators from the tree world in Gomang Kingdom, waiting for the next realm gate to open so that they could enter the East Tree Sea. The Gomang Kingdom was adjacent to the East Forest Sea, but it was actually a subordinate power of the East Forest Sea Bamboo Monarch. If low-grade cultivators wanted to enter the Eastern Forest Sea from the Northern Forest Sea, they would have to wait for 3 years. There were also exceptions for high-level cultivators. If cultivators at the Void Refinement Realm and above wished to enter the Eastern Tree Sea, they would be able to enjoy special treatment without having to wait for 3 years. As long as they complete a mission given by the Bamboo Monarch, they would be able to open the Realm Gate at any time and enter the Eastern Forest Sea. Ning Fan was sitting in a tavern in a cultivation city in the Gomang Kingdom. When he heard about the Realm Gate, he frowned. Of course, he would not wait for 2 years in the Northern Forest Sea. If that's the case, he could only complete the mission given by the Bamboo Monarch and pass through the Realm Gate directly. Chapter 566. This was a small city at the edge of the Gomang Kingdom. The highest cultivation level in the city was only a peak Yuaniing great cultivator. Ning Fan sat alone in the tavern, leaning against the window. Outside the window was filled with Fusang trees. This tree was shaped like a hibiscus, full of fiery red flowers. As the breeze blew, the whole city was filled with the fragrance of plants. Ning Fan took a sip of the wine and listened attentively to the chatter in the tavern. A few tables of guests were discussing the new Fire Emperor of the Fire World, while others were discussing the war between the Mountain World and the Earth Immortal World. There was a table of customers talking about the 3rd Gate of Realm, the Gate of Valley of Tang. There was also another table of customers talking about the Pill Sovereign of the Rain World. It seemed like the news of the Pill Sovereign breaking through to the 7th Revolution had already spread to the Rain World. Naturally, everyone was talking about the demon that was wanted by the entire North Tree Sea. He was a ruthless person that even dared to kill the Vine Sovereign's disciple. I heard that the person who killed the Vine Sovereign's disciple is called Liu Bei. Now, the Vine Sovereign has issued a reward. Whoever kills this person will get 10 billion immortal jade and 10 bottles of 6th revolution pills. 10 billion immortal jade. So much money should be enough to buy an entire high-grade cultivation country, right? It said that Liu Bei has 3 heads, 6 arms, and 8 legs. He's a survivor of the Ghost Tree clan. Because his clan was annihilated, he hates the Vine Sovereign. What? Liu Bei was actually someone from the Ghost Tree clan. I heard that he's the young patriarch of the Heather clan. Your cultivation bases are too low. None of you have seen Liu Bei's arrest warrant. I just left the Luzhou kingdom half a month ago and entered the Gomang kingdom. Gomang kingdom is a force of bamboo sovereign. That's why no one put a bounty on Liu Bei's head. However, Luzhou kingdom is a force of vine sovereign. All the cultivation cities in the kingdom are filled with Liu Bei's bounty. I've seen Liu Bei's appearance on the bounty before. This person doesn't have 3 heads and 6 arms as rumored. He doesn't look ferocious and looks like a weak scholar. Let me take a look. That's right, she looks very similar to the one at the opposite table. As soon as that person's voice fell, many of the customers in the restaurant turned to look at Ning Fan. At first, they were startled, but then they burst out laughing. Brother Sun, don't joke with us. How could Liu Bei look so weak? Ha! Ning Fan gradually turned a deaf ear to the clamor in the tavern. After drinking the wine, he suddenly stood up, left 10 immortal jades on the table, and floated away. He had already decided to enter the Eastern Tree Sea and purchase a large number of tree god fruits to increase his reign intent. The realm gate opened once every 3 years, and there were still 2 years before it would open again. The break world light that isolated the 4 big sea of trees was too powerful. If a fairy touched the break world light, they would be turned into dust. Ning Fan's cultivation base was still low. It was not enough for him to forcefully break through the realm-breaking light with his abilities. He wanted to pass through the realm gate, but he was unwilling to wait 2 years in vain. Naturally, he had to head to the Gomang Empire's capital to complete a mission from the Gomang Empire's ruler. Ning Fan left the tavern and turned into a ray of light, speeding towards the east. Half a day later, the Gomang royal capital could be seen in the distance. Bai City, the capital of the Gomang kingdom, was a massive city of trees that spanned tens of thousands of li. It was said that tens of millions of years ago, before Bai City existed, it was a wasteland. In the center of the wasteland, there was a towering Fusang tree. This tree nurtured countless Fusang tree demons. They built their capital here and established the Fusang country. Outside Bai City, hundreds and thousands of cultivators were coming and going. Ning Fan withdrew his traveling light and landed outside Gui City. Then he followed the crowd and entered the city. As soon as he entered the city, he immediately spread out his spirit sense and vaguely sensed 12 void refinement realm chi in the city. Ning Fan did not carefully investigate the origins of these people. He just wanted to know the number of high-level cultivators in the city and the location of the palaces. After confirming the location of the palaces in the capital, Ning Fan slowly moved forward. Occasionally, he would teleport hundreds of li away. Along the way, he passed by many cultivation shops. This place was adjacent to the Eastern Tree Sea and there were many tree god fruits for sale. Ning Fan strolled around the city for 1 hour and spent more than 2 billion immortal jade to buy more than 400 tree god fruits. Currently, his reign intent was already at the 4th grade. According to his estimation, he would need to devour at least 5,000 tree god fruits to attain the 3rd grade. The difficulty of advancing from the 4th grade to the 3rd grade was far greater than advancing from the 5th grade to the 4th grade. The further he advanced, the greater the number of tree god fruits he would need. In order to advance his reign intent to the 1st grade, he had no idea how many tree god fruits he would need. Other than the tree god fruits, Ning Fan also bought many spiritual materials to repair his spiritual puppets. 1 hour later, Ning Fan appeared in front of the palace in the capital. It was a palace that was built by hollowing out a gigantic tree. There were 12 groups of cultivators patrolling outside the palace gate. The leader of each group was at the Divine Transformation realm. Normally, low-level cultivators were not allowed to approach the palace. Only some Void Refinement Realm old monsters who wanted to pass through the realm gate would come to the palace to look for the king and accept the Bamboo Sovereign's mission. When Ning Fan arrived with a smile, a group of cultivators immediately came to greet him. The Divine Transformation Realm leader was a demon cultivator. He spread his spirit sense and scanned Ning Fan. However, he could not sense any trace of Ning Fan's chi. The baleful chi hidden under Ning Fan's smile was like an untouchable devil abyss, causing the demon soul in the Divine Transformation Realm leader's dantian to tremble violently. The Divine Transformation Realm leader's eyes turned solemn. He immediately understood that the smiling white-robed young man in front of him was a dignified Void Refinement Realm old monster. Moreover, he was also a devil lord who had killed countless people. Whether Ning Fan was a devil lord or not was none of his business. The Divine Transformation Realm leader only understood one thing. Since Ning Fan had come to the royal palace, he naturally wanted to look for the king to accept a mission. I'm Tang Chen, the commander of the Mulberry Guards. Greetings, Senior. May I know if Senior is here to look for the king to accept a mission and pass through the realm gate? The Divine Transformation Realm leader's tone was extremely respectful. However, he did not recognize Ning Fan's appearance at all. He did not know that Ning Fan was the person who was wanted by the Vine Sovereign. That's right. I want to pass through the realm gate of the Valley of Tang. I don't want to wait for 2 years in vain. Therefore, I came to look for the king of the Gomang Kingdom. Ning Fan's smile did not diminish. None of the guards dared to look him in the eye. If that's the case, Senior, please follow me. The Divine Transformation Realm leader ordered the other guards to continue patrolling while he led Ning Fan into the royal palace. Along the way, the leader enthusiastically explained the general situation of the Realm Gates mission. There were a total of 6 realm gates from the northern Forest Sea to the eastern Forest Sea. The realm gate of the Gomang Kingdom was the 3rd realm gate. It was adjacent to the Valley of Tang and was called the Realm Gate of the Valley of Tang. The eastern, western, and southern Forest Seas were divided by the Tree Sovereign, and it was not easy to enter. However, it was very easy to enter the northern Forest Sea from the eastern Forest Sea because the northern Forest Sea was unowned. Over the years, many Void Refinement Realm old monsters were unwilling to wait for the Realm Gate to open. Therefore, they came to look for the king of the Gomang Kingdom to accept missions. These missions were all issued by the Bamboo Sovereign. Some of them were difficult while others were easy. The missions given by the king of the Gomang Kingdom were divided into 5 stars according to their difficulty. The Void Glimpse stage mission had 1-star rank, the Void Inquiry stage mission had 2 stars, the Void Peer stage mission had 3 stars, the Absolute Void stage mission had 4 stars, and the Void Fragmentation Realm mission had 5 stars. Completing a mission of any star rank would give one the chance to pass through the realm gate, and the reward of the mission would be different. Ning Fan wore a thoughtful look on his face. If he only wanted to pass through the realm gate, he would naturally choose to complete the easiest 1-star mission. However, if the reward for the high difficulty mission was great, he would also consider completing it. Not long after, Ning Fan passed through several palaces and arrived at the main hall. The Divine Transformation Realm leader respectfully excused himself. In the main hall, a tall, bald old man was standing with a smile on his face. The old man was around 9 feet tall. He was as skinny as a match and wore a green robe with wide sleeves. His temples were bulging and his skin was as dry as tree bark. His body emanated the chi of the Absolute Void stage. He stared at Ning Fan expressionlessly and suddenly spoke. Are you Liu Bei? The devil cultivator who ordered the Vine Sovereign to capture? You sure have guts. The entire North Tree Sea is obviously searching for you, but you still dare to come to my Gomang Kingdom in broad daylight. Aren't you afraid that I will capture you and hand you over to the Vine Sovereign for her reward? Oh, I didn't know that the Bamboo Sovereign's subordinates would listen to the Vine Sovereign's order and help her capture someone. Ning Fan smiled faintly. His expression was calm, as if he was not worried that the old man in front of him would capture him. He was also not surprised that the old man could recognize him. Currently, both the West Tree Sea and the North Tree Sea were trying to capture him. Low-level cultivators might not be able to recognize his face, but the high-level cultivators would probably have a warrant for his arrest. Ning Fan did not think that the old man would capture him, nor did he think that the old man could do so. When the old man saw Ning Fan's calm expression without a hint of change in his expression, his eyes flashed with approval. Obviously, Ning Fan was a cultivator who had gone through many hardships. Suddenly he burst into laughter. "I am Tang Xiong, the king of the Gomang kingdom. I was just joking with fellow Taoist Lu when I said that I wanted to capture you. I am the bamboo sovereign's subordinate. Of course, I won't help the vine sovereign capture you. Fellow Taoist Lu, you remain calm in the face of danger. Even though your cultivation base is just at the void inquiry stage, your courage is much greater than some void pierce stage old monsters. I admire you." Tang Xiong cupped his fists at Ning Fan. Ning Fan returned the gesture with a faint smile. "Greetings, Gomang Kingdom King. The reason why I came to the Gomang Kingdom this time is to accept a mission to pass through the Realm Gate and enter the Eastern Tree Sea." "Accept a mission, huh?" Tang Xiong looked at Ning Fan for a while and suddenly asked. "May I know why fellow Taoist Lu has entered the Eastern Tree Sea?" Since Tang Xiong was guarding the Realm Gate for the Bamboo Sovereign, he naturally wanted to know Ning Fan's intentions. Ning Fan was quite infamous in the North Tree Sea. He was someone who dared to kill the Vine Sovereign's disciple. If he enters the Eastern Tree Sea to kill someone and rob them, Tang Xiong would not stop him from entering, but he would secretly inform the Bamboo Sovereign to send someone to keep an eye on him. If Ning Fan enters the Eastern Tree Sea just to avoid the Vine Sovereign's revenge, it would be an act of desperation. Tang Xiong would then take the opportunity to recommend him to the Bamboo Sovereign and recruit him. If Ning Fan is really forced into a corner by the Vine Sovereign and escapes all the way to the Eastern Tree Sea, he would probably be willing to join the Bamboo Sovereign's side. Tang Xiong carefully studied Ning Fan while his mind was racing. Ning Fan seemed to have seen through Tang Xiong's thoughts. He shook his head and chuckled. "Don't worry, Gomang Kingdom King. I didn't enter the Eastern Tree Sea to cause trouble. If people don't offend me, I will certainly not kill them. As for the reason why I entered the Eastern Tree Sea, it's not to escape. I just heard that the Eastern Tree Sea produces tree god fruits and I need them." Tree god fruits? Tang Xiong did not expect Ning Fan to enter the Eastern Tree Sea just to purchase tree god fruits. He recalled the information that the secret guards in the city sent him. Ning Fan had indeed purchased a large number of tree god fruits after entering Bai City. Therefore, he somewhat believed Ning Fan's motive for entering the Eastern Tree Sea. After hearing Ning Fan's confession of, "I won't offend anyone if they don't offend me," Tang Xiong nodded his head slightly. He could see that Ning Fan's eyes were calm when he said that. It did not seem like a lie. The path of cultivation was filled with countless battles and killings. No one could guarantee that they would not kill anyone in the Eastern Tree Sea. As long as Ning Fan did not kill indiscriminately, it would be enough for him to enter the Eastern Tree Sea. After hearing that Ning Fan did not enter the Eastern Tree Sea to avoid the Vine Sovereign, Tang Xiong could not help but admire Ning Fan's courage. If ordinary cultivators offend the Vine Sovereign, they would probably be scared to death. However, Ning Fan still wore a calm expression. This calmness came from the bottom of his heart. Because he was confident, he was fearless. Tang Xiong could not imagine how a Void Inquiry Stage Junior could be so confident and not be afraid of the Vine Sovereign's pursuit. He inwardly guessed that Ning Fan might not be as simple as he seemed. Perhaps he should not treat him as a Void Inquiry Stage cultivator. Tang Xiong chuckled. He patted his storage pouch and took out hundreds of jade slips with a wave of his hand. He divided them into 5 piles and placed them on the green jade table. Then he explained to Ning Fan. "Fellow Taoist Lu naturally has no problem if you want to enter the Eastern Tree Sea to purchase tree god fruits. However, there are still 2 whole years before the next opening of the Realm Gate. If fellow Taoist wishes to pass through the Realm Gate in advance, you have to complete a mission according to the rules. These are all missions of the Realm Gate. From easy to difficult, they are divided into 5 stars. Fellow Taoist can choose 1 mission to complete. With fellow Taoist's Void Inquiry Stage cultivation base, You will only need a few days to complete a 1-star mission. A few days, a Ning fan spread out his spirit sense and scanned through the 5 piles of jade slips on the green jade table. From left to right, the difficulty of the missions were from low to high. The first pile of jade slips recorded all 1-star missions such as entering the Tang Valley to kill 100 Divine Transformation Realm Tree Devils and concocting a low-grade 6th Revolution pill. To Ning fan, a 1-star mission was extremely easy to complete. If there were no accidents, he was prepared to accept a mission to kill a tree devil. With his abilities, killing 100 Divine Transformation Realm Tree Devils would be a piece of cake, and it would not take too much time. His eyes scanned through the 2- and 3-star missions. These missions were also not that difficult. Even if they were 4-star missions, he was confident in completing them. For example, one of the 4-star missions required him to reinforce the Gomang Kingdom's Grand Defensive Formation, which was at the peak Mortal Void Realm. With Ning fan's cultivation base in the Tao of Formations, it was not difficult to complete this mission. However, it would take up a lot of time. Ning fan's eyes scanned through the jade slips of the 5-star missions. There were only 3 of them in total. The first 5-star mission was to kill a first Heavenly Layer Void Fragmentation Realm Rogue Cultivator in the North Tree Sea. The reward of the mission was 50 billion Immortal Jade. There were 7 to 8 Void Fragmentation Realm experts in the North Tree Sea. The jade slips did not specify who the target was. It only explained that the person had offended the Bamboo Sovereign in the past. After scanning through the mission, Ning fan shook his head. The risk of killing a Void Fragmentation Realm expert was too great. He would not casually accept such a mission. The second 5-star mission was to concoct a 7th Revolution pill. Ning fan shook his head again. He did not have the 7th Revolution pill refinement realm to complete such a mission. The third 5-star mission was the latest mission. It required him to enter the Tang Valley of Gomang Kingdom and kill 2 newly born tree kings among the tree devils. This mission was slightly easier compared to the previous 2 missions. The 2 tree kings that he needed to kill were just Guiyuan Taishu realm experts. As for this mission, there was no limit to the number of people who could accept it. The jade slips indicated that 9 people had already accepted this mission and they were waiting for the 10th Void Refinement Realm expert to accept the mission. Then, they would head to the Tang Valley together to kill the tree kings. If Ning fan accepts the mission, he would be the 10th person. Ning fan gently shook his head. He could fight Guiyuan Taishu with his full strength, but he did not have the confidence to kill him. There was more or less some risk in fighting 2 tree kings. Ning fan was not willing to take the risk easily. Based on his personality, he would directly accept a 1-star mission and complete it. There was no need for him to get into more trouble. However, when his eyes fell upon the reward of the mission, his eyes suddenly turned cold. Mission reward: a puppet refined from the corpse of the Nether Rakshasa clan. Grade: Void Glimpse Stage Puppet. Additionally, the reward is 2 billion Immortal Jade. May I ask the king what the corpse puppet of the Nether Rakshasa clan is? Ning fan's eyes began to fill with coldness. Chapter 567. May I ask the monarch, what is the corpse puppet of the underworld Luo clan? A ray of cold light flashed across Ning fan's eyes. He did not expect that the corpses of the members of the Ming Luo Tree clan would be refined into spiritual puppets and given out as a reward for a mission. Before he came to the tree world, he promised the Ming Luo Tree spirit that he would come to the tree world to look for the Ming Luo Tree clan and help them when necessary. Today, Ning fan had yet to start searching for the Ming Luo Tree clan, but he had already seen this kind of mission reward. His heart could not help but sink. Could it be that the Nethersift Tree clan was in the Eastern Forest Sea? Could it be that the Nethersift Tree clan had declined to the point that they were bullied and humiliated as they pleased, capturing their clansmen to be refined into puppets as rewards for missions? Who was the one who used the Underworld Tree clan's clansmen to refine the puppet? Was it the Bamboo Emperor? If that is really the case, Ning fan might have to stand on the side of the Min Luo Tree clan and become enemies with the Bamboo Sovereign. After all, from a moral point of view, the underworld sifting tree spirit was protecting the state of you. He had the responsibility to protect the Underworld Sifting clan on behalf of the Underworld Sifting Tree Spirit. The moment Ning Fan's eyes flashed, even Tang Xiong, who had an absolute void stage cultivation base, felt a chill in his heart. His face turned pale with fright. At first, Tang Xiong thought that Ning Fan was just an ordinary void inquiry stage expert. Now, however, he felt an extreme sense of danger from Ning Fan's eyes. That gaze contained a shocking killing intent. That kind of powerful killing intent was unimaginably terrifying. Tang Xiong felt a sharp pain in his sea of consciousness after being glared at by Ning Fan. Layers of illusions appeared in front of his eyes. They were the scenes of seas of blood that Ning Fan had gone through. In those seas of blood, countless people had died. Countless Void Refinement Realm experts had died. There were even Void Fragmentation Realm experts who died in Ning Fan's hands. Could it be that this young man has killed Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators before? But how was that possible? No matter how heaven-defying a Void Inquiry stage cultivator's abilities are, it is impossible for him to kill a Void Fragmentation Realm expert. But this baleful chi is absolutely not fake. This old man has seen countless people in his life and seen many devils, but I have never seen a devil with such a terrifying baleful chi. Just one look is enough to throw this old man's mind into chaos. All of a sudden, Tang Xiong had an illusion. Even though Ning Fan was a Void Inquiry stage cultivator, killing him was as easy as taking something out of his pocket. Tang Xiong was extremely nervous. Only now did he realize how dangerous Ning Fan was. That gaze was something that even Yun Jinghong could not endure, so how could Tang Xiong endure it? Tang Xiong forced himself to calm down. He knew that Ning Fan's eyes suddenly turned cold because he was angry. He carefully considered Ning Fan's question and thought about the reason behind Ning Fan's anger. Immediately, he realized that the reason was because the Bamboo Sovereign took the Ming Luo puppets as the reward of the 5 Stars mission. Could it be that Liu Bei has some sort of relationship with the Underworld Tree Clan? Or is he a Underworld Tree Demon? Was that why he was so angry when he saw his clansmen being refined into puppets? Yes, that must be it. This man's baleful chi is terrifying. He has definitely killed Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators before. No wonder he dared to offend the Vine Sovereign. He has always been fearless. I'm definitely not a match for him. As for the Underworld Sifting Puppet's origin, this old man must clearly explain it to him so that he doesn't misunderstand. If he gets angry and kills this old man by mistake, this old man's death would be too unjust. Tang Xiong's thoughts raced. He laughed dryly and explained with an apologetic smile, "Fellow Taoist, please calm down. Fellow Taoist, please don't misunderstand. These nether net puppets were given to me by the Bamboo Emperor, and it was also this old man's decision to take them out as a reward for the mission. However, these nether net puppets weren't refined by the Bamboo Emperor. I don't have any malicious intent towards the Underworld Tree Clan." When Ning Fan heard that the one who refined the puppets wasn't the Bamboo Emperor, the cold light in his eyes lessened slightly. When Tang Xiong saw Ning Fan's expression soften, he inwardly thought that he had guessed correctly. Ning Fan was most likely a Underworld Tree Demon. That was why he got angry when he saw the nether net puppets. As he thought of this, Tang Xiong asked, "May I ask if fellow Taoist Liu is a survivor of the Underworld Tree Clan 10,000 years ago?" Tang Xiong could not see through Ning Fan's background and could not identify his demon blood. That was why he asked, "Survivor?" Ning Fan did not answer Tang Xiong's question. Instead, he was moved by the word survivor. Judging from Tang Xiong's tone, the Underworld Tree Clan seemed to have suffered some kind of great disaster 10,000 years ago. So, all the members of the Underworld Tree Clan who are still alive are all survivors. It seems like fellow Taoist doesn't know about the great disaster that the Underworld Tree Clan faced. Tang Xiong was inwardly surprised. Many cultivators in the tree world had heard about the great disaster that the Underworld Tree Clan faced. It was unexpected that Ning Fan actually knew nothing about it. Tang Xiong did not delve into the reason why Ning Fan did not know about the great disaster that happened to the Underworld Tree Clan. He just cleared his throat and revealed a reminiscing expression. 10,000 years ago, a great disaster happened in the tree world. A void fragmentation realm puppet master from the western tree sea snuck into the eastern, southern and northern tree seas and massacred more than 30 members of the tree clan. Then he used the corpses of countless members of the tree clan to refine his puppets. The underworld tree clan was located in the eastern tree sea, and it was one of the members that was massacred by that person. Rumor has it that the underworld tree clan once had a tree sovereign. It was one of the top forces in the tree world. However, ever since the disappearance of a certain tree sovereign, this clan gradually declined and no void fragmentation realm experts were born anymore. Until 10,000 years ago, the underworld tree clan still had 10 void refinement realm experts to protect it. It was still one of the first-rate forces in the tree world. However, in that great disaster, all 10 void refinement realm experts of the underworld tree clan perished. Almost all of the members of the clan were wiped out. Today, there are still survivors of the underworld tree clan. They are still living peacefully in a corner of the eastern tree sea. However, it is said that the clan no longer has any void refinement realm experts to protect it. Even the divine transformation realm experts are few and far between. The clan has already declined to become a second-rate force. These 10 Void Glimpse stage underworld puppet masters were refined by that void fragmentation realm puppet master in the past. After he finished refining them, he wanted to bring them out of the eastern tree sea. However, he was stopped by the bamboo sovereign who intercepted this batch of puppets. However, the bamboo sovereign did not return these puppets to the underworld tree clan. Instead, he kept them by his side. After listening to Tang Xiong's explanation, the coldness in Ning Fan's eyes gradually faded away. From the bamboo sovereign's point of view, there was nothing wrong with taking the 10 underworld Luo puppets as the reward for the mission. The bamboo sovereign had snatched the puppets from that void fragmentation realm puppet master. Thus, these puppets naturally belonged to him. Since the underworld Luo tree clan had declined, the bamboo sovereign naturally would not return the puppets to them. There was no need for him to express his goodwill to a declining second-rate force. In this matter, the bamboo sovereign did not make any major mistakes. The one who committed a major mistake to the underworld Luo tree clan should be that void fragmentation realm puppet master. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. Since underworld Luo tree spirit helped him protect Yu country, he had the responsibility to protect the underworld Luo tree clan. No matter what, he must obtain all the underworld Luo puppets that were the reward for the mission and send them back to the underworld Luo tree clan for burial. All of them were the clansmen of underworld Luo tree spirit. If he knew that his disappearance had led to the decline of the underworld Luo tree clan and that they were slaughtered and refined into puppets, he would certainly be filled with regret. The reason why Ning Fan wanted to bring the corpses of the members of the underworld Luo tree clan back to their homeland was just to return the favor to underworld Luo tree spirit. The ones who slaughtered the members of the underworld Luo tree clan aren't the forces of the eastern tree sea. You can't blame the eastern tree sea for this matter. Tang Xiong advised. Who is the void fragmentation realm puppet master who massacred the Ming Luo clan? Ning Fan suddenly asked. That person is one of the 3 great void fragmentation realm experts under the command of the Vine Sovereign. His name is Wan Changkong. Even though he is just a cultivator at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, his puppetry techniques are extremely shocking. In his entire life, he has created more than 1,000 void refinement realm spiritual puppets. Most of them are given to the Vine Sovereign while he keeps 200 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets for himself. When he fights against others, he only needs to summon these 200 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets, and even a cultivator at the second heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm would have to retreat. This person has a cruel nature. In order to refine his spiritual puppets, he can kill millions of people without batting an eye. Is it Wan Changkong? Ning Fan memorized the name. With a wave of his palm, the jade slip containing the mission of killing the Tree King fell into his hand. Then he said to Tang Xiong, I will accept this mission, but I wish to take on the entire mission alone. He did not need anyone else's help to kill the 2 Tree Kings. As for the underworld sifting puppets, they're all mine. Ning Fan did not want to accept this 5 stars mission at first, but now he decided to accept it. He had no other purpose other than to bury the members of the underworld sifting tree spirit. Of course, Tang Xiong understood Ning Fan's motive for accepting this mission. After witnessing Ning Fan's terrifying baleful qi, he did not doubt that Ning Fan had the strength to kill the 2 Tree Kings. Even though the 2 Tree Kings were at the origin returning Great Void stage, Ning Fan had even killed a Void Fragmentation Realm being before. 9 people had already accepted this mission and Ning Fan was the 10th. According to the rules, Ning Fan would be the last to accept the mission. He could not kick out the other 9 people and complete the mission alone to take all the rewards. In Tang Xiong's heart, Ning Fan was much more important than the other 9 Void Refinement Realm beings who accepted the mission. He dared to offend the other 9 people, but he absolutely did not dare to offend Ning Fan. Since fellow Taoist has spoken, I won't say anything else. I will leave this mission to fellow Taoist alone. As for the other 9 Void Refinement Realm fellow Taoists, I will discuss with them and ask them to give up on the mission. Even if they don't do anything, they will still be allowed to pass through the realm gate. It can be considered as an exception. Just as Tang Xiong's voice fell, 7 to 8 sneers suddenly resounded from outside the palace gate. We are the ones who accepted the mission first. Why should we give up on the mission and let this person monopolize the reward of 10 Ming Luo puppets? Those are the puppets refined by Master Wan Changkong. They contain his secret puppet technique. All of us are puppet masters. The reason why we accepted this mission is not to pass through the realm gate but for the puppets. We can't hand over these puppets to you alone. A moment later, 9 Void Refinement Realm cultivators flashed and entered the main hall. There were both men and women among them. All of them were Void Refinement Realm cultivators. One of them was a Void Glimpse stage cultivator. There was no Void Inquiry stage cultivator, 4 Void Pierce stage cultivators and 4 Absolute Void stage cultivators. Among the 4 Absolute Void stage cultivators, there was no Origin returning Great Void stage cultivator. The strongest among the 4 Absolute Void stage cultivators was an old man with white eyes. His pupils did not have a trace of black color. He said to Ning Fan with a disdainful smile, "All of us have already accepted the mission to kill the Tree Kings. You are just a Void Inquiry stage junior. How dare you try to monopolize the mission? How arrogant of you! Do you think you can fight against 2 Tree Kings alone? Or do you think you can defeat us 9 Void Refinement Realm puppet masters with your strength alone?" Ning Fan's eyes swept across them indifferently. Most of the 9 Void Refinement Realm cultivators in front of him were puppet masters. Their bodies had a strong puppet qi. The reason why these people were fighting for this mission was self-evident. They wanted those Ming Luo puppets. It was not because the Ming Luo puppets with Void Glimpse stage cultivation bases were powerful, but because they were refined by a Void Fragmentation Realm puppet master. Most of these people were hoping to improve their puppet techniques by comprehending these Ming Luo puppets. The only thing that puzzled Ning Fan was that there was actually a Void Glimpse stage cultivator among the 9 of them. It was a young lady in green robes. Her cultivation base was just at the Void Glimpse stage, but she was also participating in this mission. How could a Void Glimpse stage cultivator participate in the mission to kill a Tree King of the Guiyuan Taishu stage? Liu Bei, don't even think about monopolizing this mission. The Ming Luo puppets are mine. The white-eyed old man sneered. Chapter 568. Liu Bei, don't even think about monopolizing this mission. The Ming Luo puppets are mine for sure. The white-eyed old man sneered. Since he addressed Ning Fan as Liu Bei, it was obvious that he had seen the wanted order issued by the Vine Sovereign and knew that Ning Fan was Liu Bei. Ning Fan was not surprised that his identity was exposed. As a Void Refinement Realm cultivator, it was not strange for him to have a way to obtain a wanted order. Ning Fan was not afraid of being wanted by the Vine Sovereign. He flew at full speed without disguising his appearance or purposely hiding. If he encounters enemies, he would just kill them. Ning Fan's eyes swept across the area. Among the 9 puppet masters, 8 of them looked at him with hostility as if they had already recognized his identity. Only the Void Glimpse stage young lady in green robes, who was originally calm, had a hint of surprise in her eyes. She did not seem to expect that the elegant white-robed young man in front of her was the Devil Lord who angered the Vine Sovereign. However, when she thought of Ning Fan's intention to monopolize the mission and all the Ming Luo puppets, her eyes were filled with hostility. "What will you do if I insist on monopolizing the mission?" Ning Fan glanced at the white-eyed old man and said indifferently. The white-eyed old man was stunned. He did not expect Ning Fan to be so unyielding and actually ignore his threat. He narrowed his old eyes and snorted coldly. "On the path of cultivation, the strong are respected. If you want to monopolize the mission, show us your strength that can convince us." As soon as he finished speaking, the white-eyed old man suddenly took a step forward. His skin withered rapidly and his eyes shot out 2 rays of dazzling white light towards Ning Fan. When the white light touched him, Ning Fan felt his body gradually stiffening. His skin showed signs of turning into a tree. A layer of white tree bark floated on his skin as if he was about to turn into a wooden puppet. Ning Fan had once plundered the vast cold city and seen many magic techniques of the Tree Clan. He knew that the technique the old man displayed was an extremely powerful eye technique of the tree world. This technique was called Wood Transformation Eye. It was a secret technique of the Wood Transformation Clan. If one cultivates this technique to the highest level, he or she could turn a Void Refinement Realm cultivator into a tree with just a glance. This technique was extremely difficult to cultivate. This white-eyed old man must have had great luck to be able to cultivate this technique. With this white-eyed old man's cultivation base at the absolute void stage, he could turn Void Pierce stage cultivators into trees with just a glance when he displayed the wood transformation technique. However, it was not enough to turn Ning Fan into a tree with this technique. Break! Ning Fan released his magic power and pieces of tree bark peeled off from his body. His body returned to normal and he had broken his tree transformation. Immediately after, he took a step forward, white light flashed on his right arm, and a silver arm guard appeared. With a leap, he reached out to grab the eyes of the white-eyed old man. This attack did not activate the White Tiger Gauntlet's offensive divine ability. Even so, the power of this attack was comparable to the attack of a 4th-level Golden Body cultivator. Mysterious God's spiritual equipment. Everyone in the hall was shocked. The white-eyed old man's eyes were filled with astonishment. He did not expect Ning Fan's physical body to be this strong. Moreover, he did not expect Ning Fan to possess a profound divinity spiritual equipment. He was a puppet master who was proficient in the puppet technique. Most of his abilities were connected to his puppets. His physical body alone would not be able to withstand a single attack from Ning Fan. He didn't have time to think. He took half a step back and slapped his storage pouch, taking out countless puppets. In an instant, 216 puppets at the peak of the soul formation stage appeared in the main hall, and they all lined up in front of the white-eyed old man. The white-eyed old man then took out a formation plate. As soon as he activated it, a massive silvery white formation diagram appeared under the feet of the 216 puppets. Traces of formation light connected all the puppets' bodies. At the same time, the 216 puppets threw a punch at the same time. The formation light flashed and the punches merged into one. Wood Transformation Puppet Formation. The attack of the 216 puppets merged with the formation light of the puppet formation and turned into an extremely dazzling punch. Its destructive power was comparable to an absolute void stage attack. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He turned his claw into a fist and threw a punch at the puppet formation. He activated the ability of the White Tiger Gauntlet and threw out a White Tiger Fist Light. Void Technique, White Tiger. As soon as the attacks collided, the puppet formation was shattered. The entire Bai city shook violently. As the main hall of the royal palace trembled, the palaces and pavilions that stretched for hundreds of li turned into ashes and disappeared. The entire Bai city was filled with the angry roar of the White Tiger. Countless cultivators were in a state of shock, frightened by the terrifying fluctuations of the battle. After a long time, The tremors in the city stopped and the smoke and dust dispersed. Ning Fan kept his fist light and stood with his hands clasped behind his back. As for the white-eyed old man, he was clutching his chest. His chi was in a mess and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. His eyes were filled with shock. The 216 divine transformation realm puppets that the old man summoned were all smashed into pieces by Ning Fan. There was no way for them to be repaired. He consumed a pill to suppress his injuries. His eyes were filled with fear and he did not dare to look Ning Fan in the eye. He was not Ning Fan's match. He knew that if it wasn't for the 216 puppets in front of him, he would certainly be hit by Ning Fan's white tiger fist light. He would either die or be severely injured. On the surface, the white-eyed old man did not seem to be in a disadvantageous position. In fact, he had already lost. Ning Fan had only thrown a punch with the help of his spiritual equipment. It did not consume too much of his magic power and stamina. Thus, he was still able to fight with ease. On the other hand, the white-eyed old man had lost 216 peak divine transformation realm spiritual puppets. That was almost all of his spiritual puppets. A puppet master who lost his spiritual puppets would lose 90% of his abilities. He was not good at other magic techniques or body techniques. If he continues to fight Ning Fan, he would definitely lose. After losing so many spiritual puppets, the white-eyed old man no longer dared to go to the Tang Valley to hunt the Tree King. Without his spiritual puppets, the risk was too great. Now, he had to gather materials again to refine more spiritual puppets. Humph! Fellow Taoist Liu is indeed skillful. My skills are not as good as yours. I don't have the face to compete for the mission here. Farewell. The white-eyed old man let out a cold harumph. He turned into a ray of light and directly left Gomang country. Tang Xiong looked at Ning Fan deeply. He knew that he would not be able to withstand that white tiger fist light without sustaining any injuries. Inwardly, he thought, Ning Fan's abilities are indeed astonishing. Tang Xiong secretly guessed that this punch might not be Ning Fan's strongest ability. After the white-eyed old man left, none of the remaining 8 Void Refinement Realm puppet masters would be a match for Ning Fan. Who else wants to compete for the mission with me? Step forward and show me your skills. Ning Fan's eyes indifferently swept across the remaining 8 puppet masters. The 4 Void Pierce Stage puppet masters and the 3 Absolute Void Stage puppet masters were filled with anxiety when Ning Fan's gaze landed on them. As puppet masters, they relied on their spiritual puppets to fight. Without their spiritual puppets, they would be worthless. Seeing how Ning Fan's mysterious god armor was so domineering, which destroyed 216 peak divine transformation realm spiritual puppets with a single punch, how would they dare to take out their spiritual puppets to fight against Ning Fan? Their puppetry techniques were not as strong as the white-eyed old man, and they did not have as many spiritual puppets as him. Even the white-eyed old man was not a match for Ning Fan. If they fight against Ning Fan, most of their spiritual puppets would also be destroyed. For a moment, everyone fell into silence. The 4 Void Pierce Stage puppet masters shook their heads and sighed. They turned around and left, giving up on this mission. Even though the spiritual puppets that Great Master Wan Chongkong refined were rare, it was still not worth it to lose all of their wealth for a Void Glimpse Stage spiritual puppet. The 3 Absolute Void Stage puppet masters let out a cold snort and glared at Ning Fan with resentment. In the end, none of them dared to attack him again. All of them flicked their sleeves and left. The young lady in green robes was the only one who did not leave immediately. She bit her lips as if she wanted to say something. However, she sighed softly and left in the end. In the end, only Ning Fan and Tang Xiong were left on the ruins of the royal palace. Tang Xiong sighed with emotion. He sent more than 10 message-transmitting flying swords to the entire city, telling his subordinates not to be nervous. The ripples from the battle just now did not mean that someone was attacking Bai City. It was just a friendly battle. With a flick of his finger, his wood element magic power spread across 100 li. A new gigantic tree grew out from the ground. The core of the tree was hollowed out and turned into a brand new royal palace. I wonder when fellow Taoist will enter the Tang Valley to kill the Tree Kings and complete the mission? Tang Xiong asked politely. When night falls, I will enter the Tang Valley. Farewell. Ning Fan took away the mission jade slip and cupped his fists at Tang Xiong. Then, he turned into a ray of traveling light and flew out of the city. The reason why he chose to enter the Tang Valley at night was because the Tree Devil clan could use sunlight to heal themselves during the day. They were rather difficult to deal with. The difficulty of killing the Tree Kings at night was slightly lower. After leaving Bai City, Ning Fan flew all the way to the east. After traveling for about 30 million li, he finally arrived outside the Tang Valley. He stopped his traveling light and stood on the peak of a tree mountain, quietly waiting for the night to fall. At the moment, it was already dusk. The evening breeze caressed Ning Fan's face and the sun was about to set. Ning Fan's mind was calm. He was not afraid of the Vine Sovereign's pursuit, nor was he afraid of offending the 9 puppet masters. The map of the Tang Valley was attached to the mission jade slip. Ning Fan was carefully planning how to kill the 2 Tree Kings who were at the primordial returning realm in the shortest time and at the lowest cost. There were countless tree devils in the Tang Valley. These tree devils had low spiritual intelligence and were ferocious. They would attack all cultivators who entered the valley indiscriminately. The physical bodies of these tree devils were tough and they were suitable to be refined into puppets. Many puppet masters in Gomang country loved to come to the Tang Valley to capture these tree devils and refine them into puppets. A few years ago, 2 Tree Kings were born in the Tang Valley. They killed many puppet masters who entered the valley. Therefore, the Bamboo Sovereign set up this mission and ordered someone to kill the Tree Kings. Sometimes, the puppet technique is very cruel. Ning Fan opened his eyes and sighed softly. When he first heard that someone killed the members of the Ming Luo clan to refine puppets, he was extremely furious. However, after thinking about it repeatedly, he felt that the act of killing people to refine puppets was extremely normal in the cultivation world. Ning Fan himself was a devil lord who had killed countless people. Thus, he had no right to criticize Wan Changkong for being cruel. Wan Changkong slaughtering the Ming Luo clan was no different from Ning Fan slaughtering the members of the Demon Sinister Forest, the Star Sea and the Lightning Tower. However, if Ning Fan stood on the side of the Ming Luo clan, he would still hate Wan Changkong. It had nothing to do with right or wrong. There was no absolute right or wrong in the world. It was only related to one's standpoint. Ning Fan raised his palm and looked at his white palm. However, he knew that his palm was stained with blood. He lowered his hand and closed his eyes again, muttering to himself in silence. If there is a day when there are no more enemies in the world, I will be able to put down my killing. However, that day is too far away. The world below the 9 worlds is full of battles. The world above the 4 heavens is full of battles. Even the ancient immortal emperors were fighting endlessly. No one can avoid battles. Wherever there are people, there will be battles. Once you step into this sea of blood, you will never be able to turn back. While Ning Fan was sighing with emotion, the twilight became silent. When the stars rose into the night sky, Ning Fan took a step forward. He knew that it was time for him to head to the Tang Valley. At this moment, a faintly discernible killing intent suddenly rose from Ning Fan's back. An incomparably sharp green crystal short sword was pressed against Ning Fan's back. A petite figure suddenly lurked behind Ning Fan and launched a sneak attack on him. You have finally shown yourself? I'm very curious why a void glimpse stage cultivator like you is so obsessed with the Ming Luo puppets. Ning Fan's face didn't show any surprise, as if he already knew that someone was lurking behind him. Cut the crap. The Ming Luo puppets must never fall into the hands of a devil lord like you. A girl's voice that carried a hint of resentment came from behind Ning Fan. Chapter 569. Night fell, and the bright moon hung high in the sky. The night breeze at the top of the tree mountain revealed a hint of coldness. The green-robed girl held the short sword in her hand and pressed it against Ning Fan's back. Her beautiful eyes revealed a hint of struggle. She knew that the white-clothed young man before her was a devil, and he'd come to seize the Nethernet puppet. She knew that with her void glimpse stage cultivation base, she definitely did not have the confidence to complete the mission and obtain the Ming Luo puppet. However, She was also unwilling to let the puppet fall into the hands of someone like Ning Fan. Those puppets were made from the corpses of her clansmen. She had to retrieve all of them. Even if he couldn't find it, he couldn't allow the puppet to fall into the hands of a demonic cultivator. She hated fiendish cultivators. She hated those cold-blooded and heartless devils who had killed countless people. Her hand was trembling slightly. As long as she stabbed her sword, she would be able to kill Ning Fan and stop him from completing the mission and obtaining the puppet. It was a cyan crystal sword. It was abnormally sharp, but the sword radiance was excessively cold. The sword bones were filled with dense resentment. The green-clothed girl stabbed out with her sword, but her heart was hesitating and struggling. She hesitated for a long time before stabbing out with her sword. In the end, she was not a decisive person. You want to kill me, but you hesitate. To be able to cultivate to the void glimpse stage with such a temperament, the process must have been very difficult, right? Bang. All of a sudden, Ning Fan's body disintegrated into traces of black shadows. The black shadows condensed into a white-robed young man who stood behind the young lady in green robes. His eyes gradually turned profound. How could this be? The girl exclaimed, not expecting that Ning Fan would sneak behind her. She suddenly turned around and thrust her sword at Ning Fan. Ning Fan stretched out two of his fingers and accurately caught the tip of the dagger. The dagger could no longer move forward. His skills are very shaky. Is it because he doesn't fight often? Ning Fan loosened two of his fingers and gently flicked the tip of the sword with his finger. A vast force came from the short sword, causing the girl's arm bones to shatter. She was forced to retreat for more than 10 steps before she managed to stabilize herself. She stared at Ning Fan in dissatisfaction. She was completely no match for him. Even if it was a sneak attack or assassination, he wouldn't be able to gain the upper hand. She was originally a young lady who was ignorant of worldly affairs. Her cultivation was exchanged with the blood of her clansmen. She was not good at fighting or killing. The only thing he was good at was his clan's would escape secret technique. There was no chance of winning, so he could only escape temporarily, would escape technique, netherwood teleportation. The azure-clothed young girl held a sword in her right hand while her left hand formed a seal. Her entire body suddenly transformed into an extremely secretive streak of light that fled towards the north, covering a distance of 200,000 kilometers. Even though his cultivation base was at the void glimpse stage, his speed was comparable to a void inquiry stage expert. The underworld wood's escape light was not only faster than the escape light of the same level, but it was also very stealthy when it moved. The person who was flying would hide in the sea of trees, and it would be very difficult for ordinary people to find the escape light of the underworld wood. With her cultivation base, even an ordinary void inquiry stage cultivator would have a hard time noticing her. Unfortunately, Ning Fan was not an ordinary void inquiry stage cultivator. Flying towards the north? Sure enough, it's the Nether Luo clan's would escape secret technique. Ning Fan fell into deep thought. Then he also turned into a ray of light and flew towards the north. Seeing that the green-robed girl was so obsessed with the Ming Luo puppets, Ning Fan already had a guess about her identity. Now that he saw the escaping technique of the Ming Luo clan, he was even more certain of his guess. This young girl surely had a great relationship with the Nether's Civ clan. It was because of this speculation that Ning Fan did not kill the young lady for her assassination attempt. After a few teleportations, Ning Fan caught up to the green-robed girl who was 1 million li away. While flying swiftly in the night sky, Ning Fan suddenly stopped and stood in midair. His eyes flashed with sword light. His black sword sense merged with the darkness of the night and swept across hundreds of thousands of li, cutting down all the trees within that area. Sword sense was of the metal attribute. Metal could subdue wood. After being hit by the sword chi, the green-robed girl's would escape technique was broken. Her figure flashed and reappeared above the ruins of the sea of trees. She looked rather miserable. Detestable. Is he trying to kill me? I can't die. I am the last hope of the Nether Luo clan. I can't die. The green-robed girl's eyes were filled with panic. She seemed to be recalling the sad scenes of the past. The Nether Luo clan had already declined a long time ago. There was no void refinement realm expert among them. With her innate potential and the cultivation resources of the declining clan, it was far from enough for her to cultivate to the void glimpse stage. It was each and every one of her clansmen who had sacrificed their souls and would never be able to enter the cycle of reincarnation to condense cultivation pills for her, allowing her to cultivate to the void glimpse stage step by step. She carried the lives of 100,000 clansmen and the last wishes and expectations of 100,000 deceased clansmen. She couldn't die. She couldn't. She wanted to bring the remains of the 10 Void Refinement Realm ancestors who had fallen 10,000 years ago back to the clan and bury them. I must not die in your hands. Would escape technique, nether would blood escape. The green-robed girl suddenly bit the tip of her tongue and spurted out a few mouthfuls of blood essence. Her body was surrounded by a faint blood-red light. Using the remaining dense with chi in this place, she suddenly changed her direction and turned into a ray of blood-red escaping light, speeding towards the Tang Valley. The Netherwood blood escape technique was also a secret technique of the Netherwood clan. It was not as stealthy as the Netherwood teleportation technique, but it was slightly faster than teleportation. However, each time she used it, she would consume a lot of her blood essence and it would cause a lot of damage to her body. After using the Netherwood blood escape technique, the speed of the green-robed girl could reach 300,000 li, which was comparable to a void pierce stage expert. The green-robed girl understood that even though the blood escape technique that she used to sacrifice her blood essence was faster than teleportation, it was still much slower than Ning Fan's speed. If she does not come up with an extraordinary plan, she would not have any chance to escape from Ning Fan's evil hands. Thus, she no longer flew towards the north. Instead, she turned around and flew towards the south. The Tang Valley was to the south. It was the place where the tree devils lived. As long as she flies into the Tang Valley, Ning Fan would be besieged by the tree devils even if he chased after her. He certainly would not have the mood to continue chasing after her. Of course, this was a risky move. If the green-robed girl enters the Tang Valley, she would also be besieged by the tree devils. Now that there were 2 new Guiyuan tree kings in the Tang Valley, the green-robed girl would certainly die if she runs into one of them. My speed is not as fast as Liu Bei's. If I run into the Tang Valley, I still have a chance to get rid of him. If I don't enter the Tang Valley, I will eventually be captured by him and die a violent death. I have no other choice. The girl gritted her teeth and spurted out a few mouthfuls of blood essence again. Her small face turned pale. After a few times of escaping, her escaping light traveled 1,000,000 li and rushed into the Tang Valley. This girl isn't good at fighting. She is too soft-hearted. However, she knows the principle of putting herself in a dead end. It's also rare. There is an obsession in her eyes. It's the obsession to live. Ning Fan fell into deep thought. He patted his storage pouch and took out the ancient golden sword. Then, he stepped on the sword and chased after her into the Tang Valley. It was a valley surrounded by layers of trees and mountains. It occupied an area of millions of li. The valley was filled with all kinds of ancient trees and countless tree devils. Night fell. Most of the tree devils turned into their tree forms and took root in the soil to sleep. At this moment, the quiet Tang Valley was filled with dense killing intent because the green-robed girl's intrusion had alarmed countless tree devils. Countless towering ancient trees suddenly uprooted and stood up. They shook their bodies and turned into tree giants, chasing after the green-robed girl. In order to avoid Ning Fan's pursuit, the green-robed girl gritted her teeth and flew deeper into the Tang Valley. The deeper she went, the more tree devils were chasing after her, making it difficult for her to move forward. In the end, she was surrounded by several void glimpse stage tree devils in the valley. After Ning Fan entered the Tang Valley, some of the tree devils shifted their attention to him. They left the girl behind and went to surround him. Each of the tree devils was half human and half tree. The shortest one was several hundred zhang tall, while the tallest one was even several thousand zhang tall. The Tang Valley was filled with thick mist which had a strong blocking effect on spirit sense. Even with Ning Fan's absolute void-grade spirit sense, he could only detect the movements within 100,000 li. There were several tens of thousands of tree devils lurking within the area. Most of them were Gold Core Realm and Nascent Soul Realm Tree Devils. There were 11 Divine Transformation Realm Tree Devils and 1 Void Glimpse Stage Tree Devil. Ning Fan withdrew his spirit sense and his eyes turned slightly grim. There was no sign of the green-robed girl within 100,000 li. Has she already entered the depths of the Tang Valley? The Tang Valley is the resting place of us tree devils. Anyone who dares to trespass will be killed without mercy. The 5,000 zhang tall Void Glimpse Stage Tree Devil roared furiously. His smile was sinister but his voice was hoarse. Following his roar, countless tree devils displayed their magic techniques and attacked Ning Fan. Ning Fan waved his hand and a hurricane suddenly rose within the Tang Valley, blowing away the magic techniques of the tree devils from the earth realm. He spread out his black sword sense and killed all of a sudden. Within 100,000 li, sword light flashed and turned the place into a sea of blood. Several tens of thousands of low-grade tree devils were instantly annihilated. Within the area of 100,000 li, there were only 7 to 8 Divine Transformation Realm Tree Devils and 1 Void Glimpse Stage Tree Devil who was dumbfounded. Void Inquiry Stage Old Monster. The Void Glimpse Stage Tree Devil turned around and fled towards the depths of the Tang Valley. Ning Fan raised his right arm and summoned the White Tiger Gauntlet. Then, he threw a punch at the Void Glimpse Stage Tree Devil. With just a punch, a gigantic shadow of a white tiger appeared in the night sky. It turned into a 10,000 zhang silver fist light and exploded outside the Tang Valley. The fist light spread out, turning the area within 100,000 li into ruins. That Void Glimpse Stage Tree Devil and the few Divine Transformation Realm Tree Devils were all killed by the fist light. Ning Fan tapped the tip of his foot on the ancient golden sword and increased his speed to the maximum, flying towards the depths of the Tang Valley without any fear. His eyes glowed with blood-red light. His body was enveloped in a layer of faint blood-red light. He released all the baleful qi that he had accumulated in his lifetime of killing. At this moment, half of the night sky above the Tang Valley turned blood-red. Even the moonlight was dyed into a blood moon. Countless tree devils along the way felt Ning Fan's terrifying baleful qi. All of them shivered in fear. Most of the tree devils in the Tang Valley had low spiritual intelligence. Even so, they could instinctively sense how terrifying Ning Fan was. None of the tree devils dared to stand in front of Ning Fan anymore. Even the few Void Glimpse Stage and Void Inquiry Stage tree devils silently retreated after sensing Ning Fan's monstrous baleful qi. None of them dared to fight against him. Countless tree devils stared at Ning Fan in awe. They stared at the golden sword light and the blood-red moonlight. This was a demon who had committed a monstrous sin of murder, a demon that even the heavenly Tao could not tolerate. If no one provoked him, he would not kill. If they provoked him, they would definitely die. In the depths of the Valley of Tang, the green-clothed girl used the would escape technique again and again, getting closer and closer to the abyss nest in the deepest part of the Valley of Tang. It was like a bottomless pit, dark and bottomless. There were 2 huge black trees growing in the cave, and each tree was 90,000 zhang tall. As the green-clothed girl approached the abyss, the number of tree demons chasing after her gradually decreased. When the green-clothed girl stood beside the abyss, there were no longer any tree demons chasing after her. The girl lowered her head and looked at the pitch-black abyss beneath her feet, feeling a chill in her heart. Could this abyss be the resting place of the tree kings of the Tang Valley? Could it be that those tree devils don't dare to come close to this place? When she thought of the possibility that there were 2 tree kings of returning essence living under the abyss, she felt a little frightened. She turned around and fled from the abyss. Even though she wanted to kill the tree kings to complete her mission, she did not have the ability to do so by herself. The reason why she entered the Tang Valley recklessly this time was just to escape from Ning Fan's pursuit. At this moment, since she had already gotten rid of Ning Fan and countless tree devils, it was time for her to leave the Tang Valley. Seeing that the girl was about to turn around and leave, 2 sinister laughter suddenly resounded from the abyss. Another outsider has entered the Tang Valley to seek death. Moreover, it's a woman. This woman has an aura that disgusts me. If I'm not mistaken, she should be a tree demon from the Ming Luo clan. Ming Luo clan. Very good. Should I pluck this woman first or eat her first? At the moment when the two sneers resounded, two extremely terrifying auras pressed down on the green-robed girl like the sky was falling. The auras were extremely cold and gloomy, causing the green-robed girl to tremble uncontrollably. She felt as if she was nailed to the ground, unable to leave. She felt as if she had lost control of her body. The girl revealed a look of panic. This was the aura of returning essence Great Void. This wasn't the aura of 60 units of magical power, but the aura of Yuanhui magical power. Under the aura of this Yuanhui magical power, the girl only felt that she was as insignificant as an ant. She could not calm down and resist the two tree kings at all. Above the night sky, two rays of black light shot out from the abyss and turned into two burly men in black armor, standing in the air. One of them was holding a wooden sun magical treasure. It was oval in shape and had 6 holes on it. When the night wind blew, the wooden sun would let out a demonic sound that sounded like the wailing of ghosts. It had the ability to absorb one's soul. Obviously, it was a demonic sound treasure. The other burly man was carrying a giant black axe. There were black runes drawn on his face. He looked down at the green-robed girl, licked his lips and sneered. The Nether Luo clan was once a sovereign force of the tree world. They had once annihilated my ghostwood clan like an ant. Unfortunately, after the disappearance of a certain tree emperor, the Nether Luo clan fell into decline. The catastrophe 10,000 years ago had even reduced the Nether Luo clan to a second-rate force. I was still thinking about going to the Eastern Tree Sea to slaughter the Nether Luo clan that was struggling at death's door. I didn't expect that a void refinement realm cultivator of the Nether Luo clan would come to seek death tonight. The burly man's sneer did not stop. Suddenly, he took a step forward and swung his giant axe, slashing down at the green-robed girl who could not move. The power of the axe turned into an extremely dazzling black axe light, splitting the vast sky. Even an ordinary absolute void cultivator would not be able to withstand this axe light. The green-robed girl looked at the black axe light that was slashing down on her head, revealing a look of despair. She was a puppet master, and what she was good at was the puppet technique. She had been cultivating with the help of the cultivation pill, and her demonic force was weak. Even when she was at her peak, she would not be able to withstand the axe light of the Tree King, let alone now that she was being suppressed by the Tree King's aura force and could not move. The axe light was getting closer and closer. The girl's ears gradually became quiet. Only the sound of the wind could be heard. She had never felt so close to death before. Her bright eyes were filled with unwillingness. She bit her lips with her pearly white teeth, causing traces of blood to flow out. She did not want to die here. Qing Dai, you can't die here. You can't. You are the last hope of the Nether Luo clan. You carry the lives of 100,000 clansmen. You can't die before we find the corpse of our ancestor. Qing Dai, you can't die here. The girl revealed a crazed look. There was a green pearl hidden in her dantian. That was the last bloodline demon treasure of the Nether Luo clan. It contained the void fragmentation realm attack left behind by her ancestor. It was a life-saving item given to her by her clansmen. This treasure could only be detonated by sacrificing the bloodline power of the Nether Luo clan. Once it was detonated, even the Gui Yuan Taishu realm cultivator would be injured. At this moment, the girl decided to take out the pearl and burn her demonic blood to fight against the two Tree Kings. Her eyes were filled with determination and desperation. It was filled with determination that she would not retreat even if she died 10,000 times. At the moment when the axe light slashed down and the pearl was about to detonate, a silent sigh suddenly resounded in the night sky. Then, a young man in white robes with cold eyes appeared in front of the girl in green robes. He held a silver pagoda in his hand and raised it. As soon as the pagoda rose into the sky, it immediately grew in the wind and emitted circles of silver spirit wheels. A gigantic silver halo suddenly appeared in the night sky. Within the ring of light, scattered silver specks of light gradually appeared, and in the next moment, countless silver arrows shot out from the ring of light into the sky, easily piercing through the black axe light. This treasure was Ning Fan's spoils of war when he swept across the vast heaven palace. It was the Tower of Freezing Rain. After shattering the axe light with a single strike, Ning Fan's figure instantly took 9 steps forward like a ghost. After taking 9 steps, he strangely returned to his original spot as if he had never moved at all. After taking 9 steps, the great force of heaven and earth shook. The aura force of the 2 tree kings was shattered. At this moment, the girl in green robes regained her mobility. "Who are you?" The 2 tree kings stared at Ning Fan coldly as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Even though the cultivation base that Ning Fan revealed was just at the void inquiry stage, he was able to shatter the axe light with a single strike and break their aura force with 9 steps. His abilities were extremely powerful. The 2 tree kings were intelligent beings. They naturally knew that they could not underestimate Ning Fan. "Are you here to save me?" "He's here to kill me." The green-robed girl was stunned. She failed to assassinate Ning Fan's and entered Tang Valley to escape from his evil clutches. She didn't understand why Ning Fan would save her. Perhaps he was here to kill her. "Is your name Qing Dai? What's your status in the Ming Luo clan?" Ning Fan turned around and did not answer the green-robed girl's question. Instead, he asked her with a smile. "I'm the current high priest of the Ming Luo clan." Qing Dai gritted her teeth and tried her best to calm herself down. She did not want to show any sign of fear in front of Ning Fan. That's right. Ning Fan was very strong. The 2 tree kings in front of him were also very strong. With her void glimpse stage cultivation base, she would not be able to escape from the devil claws of these powerful enemies no matter what. But she was not willing to give in. She would rather die. She was the high priestess of the Nether Sift clan, the last hope of the clan. Even if she knew that she was weak and the enemies were strong, she would not allow herself to be afraid. "High Priest, if that's the case, I will protect you today. No one can hurt you. I've promised a friend to protect the Ming Luo clan for him." Halfway through his words, Ning Fan suddenly patted his storage pouch and took out a black wooden token, showing it to the green-robed girl. The moment the token was taken out, the green-robed girl felt her demon blood boiling. Her bright eyes were filled with astonishment. "This? Why you are?" She was so shocked that she did not know what to say. "That friend of mine asked me to protect the Ming Luo clan. He also asked me to do another thing, to accept the black wooden token and become the current tree sovereign of the Ming Luo clan. As the current tree sovereign of the Ming Luo clan, I have the obligation to protect the members of the clan." Ning Fan held the black wooden token in his hand and took a step into the sky. In an instant, he turned into a black robe and emitted the aura force of the absolute void realm. He clawed at the ground and the void space with his 5 fingers, displaying the soul extraction technique. His aura force rose steadily and was infinitely close to the absolute void realm. Suddenly, he opened his sword pouch and let out the 5 petite sword spirits. Then, he ordered them in an irrefutable manner. "All of you kill that sun-blowing devil. As for this axe-wielding devil, leave it to me." As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly took out the black wooden token and activated his sovereign chi. The black wooden token was a supreme treasure in itself. It needed to be activated with sovereign chi. Once it is activated, all the trees would submit to it, as if the tree sovereign had personally arrived. "All the plants and trees in heaven and earth are my subjects. My country is where my roots are." Sovereign technique, plants and trees as soldiers. At the moment when Ning Fan activated the technique, all the towering ancient trees within 1,000,000 li were uprooted from the ground and turned into puppet wooden soldiers with golden armor. Chapter 570. The towering ancient trees within 1,000,000 miles turned into millions of golden-armored wooden soldiers. Ning Fan recalled the Tower of Freezing Rain. Then, he raised the blackwood token high up in the air and formed a series of hand seals with all 10 of his fingers. In the distance, the 5 sword spirits were already fighting with the blowing willow tree king. On the other side, the axe-wielding tree king stared at Ning Fan in disbelief. When his gaze fell upon the Blackwood token, his eyes actually revealed a hint of fear. He had heard of this Blackwood token. The axe-wielding Tree King was a member of the Ghost Tree Clan. The Ghost Tree Clan was once a large clan in the tree world, but it was destroyed by the Underworld Civ Clan a long time ago. During the prosperous years of the Underworld Civ Clan, this Blackwood token had another name, Tree Emperor Token. It was rumored that any cultivator with a Blackwood token would produce a supreme emperor's aura when fighting against a wood elementalist, making it difficult for the wood elementalist to resist. After Ning Fan took out the Blackwood token, the axe-wielding Tree King felt his heart palpitating. All of its wood elemental magic power became a little sluggish. He was very sure that the token Ning Fan took out was the Blackwood token. The irresistible pressure of an emperor was being emitted from the token. There was no mistaking it. At that time, the Underworld Luo clan was not the only tree emperor in the tree world. However, the Underworld Luo Tree Emperor was a supreme powerhouse in the tree world. He dominated the tree world and led the other tree emperor forces. Most of the Ming Luo Tree Emperor's strongest abilities were closely related to the Blackwood token. They needed to cultivate their sovereign chi and use the Blackwood token. According to the rumors, this Blackwood token had disappeared along with the disappearance of the last Ming Luo Tree Emperor. Why did it appear here? The axe-wielding Tree King was too astonished. When it saw Ning Fan summon the wooden soldiers, it was even more astonished. The towering ancient trees transformed into golden-armored wooden soldiers, and even the weakest among them was at the Jindan stage. With just one spell, he summoned about 5 million golden-armored wooden soldiers. This is a technique that can destroy a nation. One spell to summon 5 million wooden soldiers. Just these 5 million wooden soldiers are enough to destroy a country. The axe-wielding Tree King found it difficult to calm down. When he saw Ning Fan display another type of divine ability, he was even more astonished. All of a sudden, Ning Fan bent his palm and kept the Blackwood token into his sleeve. Soon after, he bit off his little finger and sacrificed the finger bone. The broken bone turned into countless fragments and scattered on the ground. In the next instant, the little finger was reborn, and 6 million bone-armored demonic soldiers appeared on the ground. 5 million gold-armored wood soldiers and 6 million bone-armored demonic soldiers. After casting the two magic techniques, Ning Fan's magic power was greatly depleted. However, he managed to summon 11 million gold core realm puppet soldiers. At this moment, the shadow of a golden dragon coiled around Ning Fan's body. That golden dragon was filled with sovereign chi. The green-clothed girl on the ground was Qing Dai. She stared blankly at Ning Fan. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. At this moment, Ning Fan's sovereign chi burst out. He stood in the night sky like a dazzling golden sun. He stood in the air like an emperor, and beneath his feet were 11 million soldiers who had submitted to him. He came with the Blackwood token and claimed to be the current tree emperor of the Nether Civ clan. His appearance was to protect the Nether Civ clan. His appearance was 30% handsome and 70% elegant. His eyebrows slanted to his temples. His black eyes carried the prestige of a sovereign. However, they were calm and unfathomable like an ancient well. At this moment, he had transformed into a black robe. His black hair had grown longer and reached his waist. It danced wildly in the night wind. The left side of his face had a demonic pattern. His body carried an indescribable demonic aura. Is he really the current tree emperor of my Nether Civ clan? What kind of person is he exactly? I tried to assassinate him, but he wanted to protect me. Ning Fan did not look at Qing Dai again. The reason why he protected her was just to repay tree spirit Ming Luo's kindness. At this moment, Ning Fan's mind was completely immersed in the two magic techniques. He had used the transforming bones into soldiers technique many times in the past. However, he had never felt such a mysterious feeling like today. At this moment, he actually gained some enlightenment when he used both the transforming bones into soldiers and the transforming bones into soldiers technique at the same time. This enlightenment was something that he had never experienced before. In the transforming bones into soldiers technique, the plants and trees were real while the wooden soldiers were fake. In the transforming bones into soldiers technique, the finger bones were real while the skeletal soldiers were fake. Whether it was the transforming bones into soldiers or the transforming bones into soldiers technique, both of them contain the principle of turning reality into void. Turning reality into void was already considered as the enlightenment of the Great Void. The power of these two magic techniques was closely related to the enlightenment of the word void. The wooden and skeletal soldiers that Ning Fan summoned were only at the gold core realm. However, if his enlightenment of the word void reaches a higher level, the power of these two magic techniques would certainly increase. The wooden and skeletal soldiers that he summoned now were all at the gold core realm. As his enlightenment of the word void increases, the soldiers that he summoned would advance to the nascent soul realm or even higher in the future. However, he did not know if his enlightenment of the word void was enough to summon nascent soul realm puppet soldiers. Or could he only summon nascent soul realm puppet soldiers after his enlightenment of the word void reaches the void-breaking realm? There are less than 5 million nascent soul realm cultivators in the entire Rain world. If I can summon 11 million nascent soul realm puppet soldiers with these two magic techniques, I'm afraid I can sweep across the entire world with just these two magic techniques. Ning Fan raised his eyes and looked at the Tree King who was holding an axe in the distance. His eyes gradually revealed a hint of madness. The reason why he summoned 11 million puppet soldiers was to severely injure the Tree King with a single blow. He wanted to make all the summoned puppet soldiers self-detonate and use the force of their self-detonation to severely injure the Tree King. The self-detonation of 11 million gold core realm cultivators would also injure even the primordial Great Void realm cultivator. Ignite! Ning Fan changed his hand seal and the bodies of the 11 million puppet soldiers were all ignited with golden flames. These puppets rose into the sky and their bodies began to burn rapidly. They were inanimate objects. Following Ning Fan's order, each of them fearlessly rushed towards the Tree King, hoping to injure the Tree King with their deaths. The Tree King was stunned. Initially, he was still wondering why Ning Fan summoned so many puppet soldiers. One should know that even though there were a lot of them, their cultivation bases were too low. Each of them was just at the gold core realm. They were not very useful in the battle of the Great Void realm. However, at this moment, the Tree King understood Ning Fan's intention of summoning the puppet soldiers. As soon as he saw the puppet soldiers combusting, he immediately guessed that Ning Fan was going to detonate them. In his shock and anger, he almost wanted to curse out loud. Looking at the 11 million puppet soldiers that surged into the night sky and surrounded him like a tidal wave, the Tree King felt his scalp go numb. He wanted to teleport away, but he was already blocked by the puppet soldiers from all directions. The night sky of hundreds of thousands of li was filled with puppet soldiers like flying locusts. The Tree King swung his giant axe. Each swing of his axe could split the vast sky and kill tens of thousands of gold core realm puppet soldiers. However, there were just too many puppet soldiers. After swinging his axe a few times, he only managed to kill less than 300,000 of them. He could not find a way out at all. As Ning Fan changed his hand seal again, the 10 million puppet soldiers were about to self-detonate at this moment. The Tree King's eyes widened in shock. His mind was in a mess. He thought that if he directly withstood the self-detonation force of 10 million gold core realm cultivators, he would certainly die. He was at the primordial returning Great Void realm. He had already faintly touched the power of opening the heavenly dwelling with his palm. As he changed his hand's seal, a door of heavenly dwelling light immediately appeared in front of him. He took a step into the door and hid inside the heavenly dwelling. The Tree King knew that with the self-detonation force of 10 million gold core realm cultivators, even the heavenly dwelling space would be blasted into ashes. The reason why he hid inside the heavenly dwelling space was because he wanted to use the space barrier of the heavenly dwelling to block some of the self-detonation force. After entering the heavenly dwelling space, the Tree King immediately patted his storage pouch and took out 7 mortal void realm formation discs. Then he activated 7 layers of mortal void realm grand formations to strengthen the defenses of the heavenly dwelling space. At the same time, he shook his body and transformed into his true form of a 9,000 zhang tall tree. He was a member of the Ghostwood clan. The defense of his true form was extremely strong. Even an ordinary absolute void realm attack would not be able to hurt him at all. All of his defensive measures were completed in an instant. At the moment he transformed into his true form, the 10 million puppet soldiers in the night sky outside shouted at the same time and self-detonated at the same time. Shatter 10 million puppet soldiers, divine devil finger. The 10 million puppet soldiers shouted at the same time. These 10 million puppet soldiers were either wooden soldiers or bone soldiers. All of them were transformed by Ning Fan's magic technique. They did not have spiritual intelligence and they could not think. There was only one thought in their minds: to fight for Ning Fan from the moment they were born until their deaths. The 10 million gold core realm puppet soldiers self-detonated at the same time, setting off a terrifying golden storm in the night sky. In the middle of the golden storm in the night sky, a 10,000 zhang large golden finger suddenly appeared. The storm gradually subsided. All of the explosive energy had merged into the golden finger. How did that golden finger appear? Ning Fan had no idea about it at all. The golden finger emanated an ancient fiend god qi. Under this qi, even Ning Fan held his breath for a moment. Ning Fan stared at the golden finger with astonishment. Obviously, the appearance of this golden finger was beyond his expectation. The reason why he displayed the myriad plant soldiers and shatter bone soldiers technique was to make the 11 million puppet soldiers self-detonate at the same time. However, even Ning Fan did not know that when the 10 million puppet soldiers self-detonate at the same time, it would activate another ancient devil ability. This is the lost ability of the ancient fiend god, finger incinerating weapon. This is my first time seeing someone display this ability with my own eyes. Luo Yu cried out involuntarily in the profound Yin world. Shatterbone Soldier's technique and finger incinerating weapon were both ancient fiend god abilities. The former was occasionally used by people, but the latter was rarely used by anyone. Even with Luo Yu's experience as a true immortal in the past, she had never seen anyone display the finger incinerating weapon technique. It was only today that she found out that the so-called weapon incineration finger required one to first summon millions of puppet soldiers using the weapon incineration technique and make the puppet soldiers self-destruct before it could be executed. Even if it was Moksha Sovereign, he could only summon 100,000 puppets using the weaponsmithing art. Even the perfected immortals above the four heavens could not summon 10 million puppet soldiers with broken bones. If he couldn't summon 10 million puppet soldiers, he wouldn't be able to achieve the prerequisite of executing the weapon incineration finger. From Immortal Emperor Mo Zhong, Ning Fan had learned the complete transforming bones into weapons technique. With the help of the Blackwood token, he displayed the Ming Luo clan's omnipotent plant technique. The number of puppet soldiers he summoned had already reached 10 million. When he ordered the 10 million puppet soldiers to self-destruct, he accidentally activated the weapon incineration finger. Weapon incineration finger. Ning Fan stopped making hand seals. His eyes stared at the 10,000 zhang golden finger in the night sky. His eyes gradually turned fiery. That golden finger was a fiend god finger formed from the explosion of millions of puppets. So exploding millions of puppets could unleash such a terrifying divine ability. Now, the power of the fiend god finger formed from the explosion of millions of gold cores was actually equivalent to the power of a first heavenly layer nirvana realm body cultivator's finger. If my comprehension of the void reaches an extremely high level, I wonder how powerful the fiend god finger formed from the explosion of millions of nascent souls would be. Besides, Ning Fan also had other comprehensions. Transforming bones into weapons, shattering millions of puppets and returning to his finger. There seemed to be an indescribable profound principle which he could not comprehend for the time being. The 10,000 zhang golden finger was as bright as the sun in the night sky. The golden finger pressed against the heavenly dwelling space where the axe-wielding tree king was hiding. That heavenly dwelling space could not withstand the power of the fiend god finger at all and shattered with a loud bang. The axe-wielding Tree King who was hiding in the heavenly dwelling space appeared in the night sky along with the shattering of the space. He looked at the 10,000 zhang golden finger in the night sky and was suddenly stunned. What is this golden finger? Didn't that brat explode millions of puppet soldiers? Why don't I see any energy waves from the explosion? Instead, a golden finger appeared. Not good. Even though the axe-wielding Tree King did not know where the golden finger came from, he could feel a destructive force from it. He had already transformed into the true form of the Ghost Tree clan. His body had turned into a 9,000 zhang tall ghost tree. Its defense was extremely sturdy. There were also 7 layers of mortal void grand formation protecting him. However, none of this gave him any sense of security. Facing the 10,000 zhang golden finger, the axe-wielding Tree King had an illusion. It was as if he was not facing a golden finger but a fiend god that had swept across the world in the ancient times. Boom, boom, boom. The golden finger pressed against the 7 layers of mortal void grand formation light, and all of them were shattered. The golden finger pressed against the Tree King's gigantic trunk and the tree immediately trembled. The defense of the Tree King was extremely strong. Even an ordinary absolute void stage cultivator would not be able to harm the tree at all. Even though the golden finger was powerful, it could not break the tree's defense in a short period of time. However, as time passed, the bark of the tree was gradually crushed and turned into ashes by the power of the golden finger. The power of the golden finger was also fading away bit by bit. However, before it was completely depleted, it still managed to break the trunk of the tree. At the moment when the tree was broken, the power of the finger exploded, raising the mountain of trees within a million li to the ground. Pood at the axe-wielding Tree King spurted out a mouthful of blood. His tree trunk was directly shattered by the golden finger and he returned to his human form. His face was as pale as a sheet of paper. His injuries were extremely severe. The black armor on his chest was completely shattered. He only managed to stabilize his body after retreating 100 steps in the night sky. His eyes were filled with fear. What a terrifying golden finger! Even the power of a finger of a nirvana body cultivator is nothing more than this. He went into the space of his heavenly dwelling and activated 7 layers of mortal void grand formation light to transform into his true form. However, he was still severely injured by the golden finger. The power of this golden finger was too terrifying. The nirvana finger, Ning Fan, descended from the sky in time and stood in front of Qing Dai, helping her to block the aftermath of the collision. His eyes were filled with complicated emotions. He did not expect to accidentally activate the fiend god ability of the weapon incineration finger, even though he was confident that he could injure the axe-wielding Tree King by detonating the 10 million spiritual puppets. He did not think that the explosion of 10 million gold core realm cultivators would be able to severely injure the Tree King. However, when the power of the explosion of the 10 million spiritual puppets turned into the fiend god finger, the destructive power of the explosion suddenly increased and the Tree King was directly injured. Currently, other than the void ignition technique and the steel technique of sun and moon, my strongest abilities are the weapon incineration finger. However, even with these 3 magic techniques, I still don't have the confidence to defeat the primordial void stage cultivators in a single strike. The difference in strength between an absolute void stage cultivator who has attained the primordial void stage and one who has yet to attain the primordial void stage is just like the difference between the clouds and the mud. He glanced at Qing Dai. Although her eyes were filled with shock, she was not injured at all. Thus, he felt slightly relieved. Then, he flew up to the sky and confronted the axe-wielding Tree King. You are very strong. Incarnation, soul extraction, sovereign chi. If I'm not mistaken, you have already learned all 3 of the void fragmentation realm techniques. No wonder you can display strength that is comparable to the primordial void stage even though you are only at the void inquiry stage. However, you are still not a match for me, a primordial void stage cultivator. The axe-wielding Tree King gradually calmed down. His eyes glinted with ferocious light. He decided to use his strongest ability to eliminate Ning Fan. He could not give Ning Fan another chance to display his golden finger. that you're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.